Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. The highway committee meeting. We'll have roll call
Gary Mertig,
here.
Martin Vitek. Here. Michael Berlin.
Here.
Rich Huber,
Here.
William Metzger.
Here.
All present. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move.
Motion by Mike, second.
I'll second it. This is Rich Huber.
Second by Rich. Any questions, changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval of the May 9th, 2022 meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Also move.
Motion by Bill, second by Marty. Any questions on the minutes? Corrections, deletions? All those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comment via Zoom or in person? Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Nope,
Okay, in
just
person.
her in person.
Hi, I'm Don Beals. This is my wife Julie. We live out on Spider Lake, 5 miles northwest of Clam Lake on GG. Anyways, we have no legal access to ATV, UTV trails. And that's my request here to the committee is if you could consider getting us some access, legal access to the trails. What I'm proposing is just 1 mile. And I've got some maps if I'm allowed to do this during public comment. It's just 1 short mile of GG. This section is, has good visibility. There's no intersections that are in the way. There is a gentle sweeping curve, as you can see on the map. But the trees have been removed, well on the inside of the curve. You can see darn near all the way through the curve on this section. No intersections, no drives, no hills. And the shoulders are really maintained well on this section, the whole section of North GG. I know there's going to be concerns, and there should be, ATV traffic on this road. But, I will point out that there are many county roads open and that we've driven our ATVs on, such as GG South. We were just on that yesterday, all the way down to Loretta. County M leaving Clam Lake all the way to the Bayfield County line. And that has got to have just as much, if not more traffic than GG North. It's got many intersections, sometimes lousy visibility, lots of curves, that kind of thing. And then County F out of Butternut, we've ridden that as well. That doesn't have any shoulder at all. And hills and intersections and whatnot. And we do have a brief section of GG North open close to Clam Lake at the bridge to allow route access into town. So I know that slower moving ATV traffic would be considered a hazard, and it is, but we travel GG quite often. It's not unusual to see bikers, joggers, hikers, people walking their dogs. When we had a good surface on GG a couple of years ago, we had cross-country skiers doing the rollerblading on the road. And of course, we've got elk, and even more hazardous, we've got the cars stopping in the lanes to look at the elk and take the pictures. So we do have, other hazards out there. Don't think that opening this 1 mile section would be any worse, would add more grief to the situation. So again, to keep this short, we're just asking for 1 mile open. So we have legal access. There's no legal way for us to get out to the trails on our ATVs. We're not asking, for trails into a bar or anything. We're just trying to reach, a fire road where we can get access to both the roads and trails. Don't think there'll be, this would create any additional hazards. And there's really no difference in my mind to this section compared to what else is open in Ashland County. afraid to use. So.
Good.
That's my
I'll, we can't comment back because it's not on the agenda, and during public comment, we take it, and we will take it under advisement. And we have to be careful. You're correct in that we have most county roads open. This one was a concern, but we'll get it on the next agenda.
Well, the process is they can't request, it has to go through the club and then the town to come to
Right.
us, so.
Okay. And
The
you're in the
township's
town,
gotta come too.
The club,
Or town, wasn't it?
I gotta read that, it's a club or town, but the town needs to be on board also, which they probably are, but.
and you're
but
in
yeah,
town
that's
accord.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, that would,
yeah, that's not a problem.
That's
But
not
that's
a
the
problem.
process. It doesn't allow for, individuals to seek access. It has to go through a club.
Or the town.
Yeah, or the town.
When we are trying to form our own Spider Lake Club, would that qualify?
Yes.
If you have a club, yeah.
Okay. We can put a club together pretty quick.
well, and what you can do is, I would suggest talking to the town of Gordon, because they've already been involved in this whole process, and then contact
Yeah,
Matt, and then we can get it on, so it's an official agenda item request. We can do that. Good, thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. And you said there's nobody on Zoom.
No,
Okay. Okay, we have commission reports.
all right, employees. So, we did have one employee quit. He went to Northern Clearing, stating, better wages, better benefits. So we are, who quit? James Sturgill. He was a, year and a half, maybe,
yeah.
fairly new employee. So yeah, I did get permission from Dan to advertise to fill that position. We're not moving real fast on it. We're hoping to have somebody on board by September, end of August, September, so we can have them trained before winter for a plow route. It will be the US 2 plow route from, city of Ashland out to the Iron County line. That's the route that is open at this time, so. So yeah, we are looking for that. Summer help, we did have 5. We had one only work a few days and cited health reasons. She couldn't do the job, so she did leave us, so. We probably will look to fill that one yet. We have a couple high school students that were graduated that didn't turn 18 until the end of June.
Yeah, well, there
So-
was one that was 18 now too, but she had that nursing school,
Okay.
so she was available at the end of the month, so I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you about her.
We had a couple options that weren't available till the end of June, so we didn't hire them earlier, but now it might be a good option to look at since this one left. 'Cause yeah, talking with Dan, we had planned for 4 summer help. And then when James quit, he did give the go ahead to get one more summer help just for the summer to help us out with the crack sealing, because we need all the people we can get for that job. So we had 5 and that was great, but the one did not last very long, so. So that's what I have for employees.
I see you had a younger gal doing flags.
Mhm.
And you had, they had the traffic stopped and some car or truck, I don't remember what it was, went right through it. She had to stop up. She had to stop up and they went right through it.
Okay, I didn't hear about it, but.
This was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And I rolled the window down and I said, he never stopped. Yeah, he never stopped. And, she just was all excited. But what happens if somebody does that? Can somebody report them or what?
Can report them. We have in the past. It's actually was working its way through legislation at the state. It kind of got stalled out with the new changeover. It's got to wait for the next session. They're trying to make flaggers, give a flaggers bill of rights, basically that would give them the same rights as, say, school bus drivers can take your driver or your plate and give it to the sheriff's department and they can send a ticket right to them.
Yeah.
They're trying to give that same right to flaggers. At this time, they don't have it. We
No,
can
she-
contact the sheriff's
She
department.
she had the stop up,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and he blew right through it.
Sure.
And,
Probably texting.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully eventually we can get that passed through legislation because it would give us more options to,
but right now, there is no
Enforce.
violation on that.
if you can get a hold of the sheriff and they can run them down and catch them, you know, we have in the past.
Cause I had my cell phone and I was right a little ways behind him, you know, I could have easily got his number, but
A few years ago,
One of those dash cams would have worked pretty good.
Yeah.
they're actually, some of the counties are using cameras on work sites. It's a little bit iffy if you can or not, and you gotta save the records for so long and in case there's other lawsuit action. We haven't done it. We've thought about it. We haven't went that way yet, but
And you were well aware, the problem is the flagger says green pickup's last truck in line, and all of a sudden some red vehicle blows his little stop sign. And they start sending traffic, depending on how much of a gap's in there,
yeah,
and we have an accident,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
But I mean, if they told them to stop, I mean,
Right.
they
should
could-
stop.
You could
Right.
argue that.
Mhm.
I know in the past, a few years ago, we were flagging on the Brunsweiler Bridge. And the car came up to the flagger and he just went around and continued on. I was actually on the job. They called me, I called the sheriff. And we picked up the guy down the road. And it was a school district of Mellon employee.
Was it?
Was late for work and he said he had to get to work. He didn't have time to stop. Well, sorry, it doesn't work, you know?
Yeah.
What, did they ticket him?
Yes.
Yeah, that ain't gonna fly.
Yeah.
They've caught him a few times. I mean,
Yeah.
that wasn't the only time.
Yeah,
It
that was
it
just one I
last
remember
year
well,
and-
so.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that that comes to mind about that is the visibility. Sometimes the background makes it hard to see a stop sign. And one thing I remember, it was out in Montana or something. They had a what do you call flagger, and they had like this neon pink stop sign or whatever, you know. I mean, you could see it, you see it halfway through, you know, and
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
we're, by law here, we're required to use the red stop sign, but we do have some of them that have flashing lights around the
So I was gonna
sign.
say, it seemed
And then
all-
we have personal lights that go on their shoulder that flash a beacon while trying to catch attention.
you get visibility.
Yeah,
Cause I can remember when they were doing that road job down by Mellon, there was a flagger who was, I think, gone on to the great beyond. He would hide behind the barrels.
Oh.
You know, I could understand the guy not wanting to get run over, but you couldn't see him, see,
yeah.
you know?
I'll tell you what, we have that set of stoplights now, and we really like them. They work good. Very rare does someone go through them every now and again, but we use them all the time and they're very nice. It's a huge,
Well, that was only a couple of years ago where wasn't that one killed and the other one, there was two people, a flagger and that was right up here, wasn't it?
we had one killed up on 112, right by the
112.
cemetery.
Yeah,
Maybe 3 years ago now.
those three.
Somebody in Ashland County?
Yeah, it was a Northwoods paving job there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Their flagger was,
Yeah, they even, I think that was like an older guy or something, say they didn't even see her. I, you know, it was just
I don't remember.
mind boggling, but
work schedule.
so work schedule, we are crack sealing. We did some on 77. We've been doing South GG. We're gonna be hitting M, A, C, doing some for the city of Ashland and also the town of Marengo. Culvert projects. We are going to change some on County Highway E. I'll talk about E a little bit later on the next, I guess, on projects or on, yeah, projects. So then we started mowing today. We have some patching, some sign work to do. We're also doing some culverts on Lake Drive, West Lake Drive for the town of Morse. they're getting ready for a paving project next year, I believe, so. we're gonna be changing out a bunch of culverts for them. So that's the basic work schedule for the next month or two.
I have a question. I was on 77. It was in Price County. And
70?
maybe it was 70 here. I don't know. Anyhow, they had, how many lanes do you cut in when you're cutting on the highway? How many
Brushing?
lanes? Brushing, yeah. But
It's
when
on
you're-
70.
it's
They're,
on-
they're
it's on-
way back in there. They
Yeah.
made like 6 passes in place.
Yeah,
I've
but
never seen that.
there's spots where they just didn't do the one lane. They went back and cut the whole thing out in a certain area. It's all cut. And then the next spot up, they haven't started yet. But they didn't go, they just didn't go like around once.
Okay.
They
So-
went
so you're
ahead and cut
talking-
an area and then,
Yeah, I was shocked because I saw it yesterday.
was that on 70?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So
They-
mowing on the state, we're supposed to do 1 or 2 passes tops down to the ditch bottom. But if you're doing it under brushing, like we've done on 13 in different places, we can go farther back, but that's generally in the fall or winter time.
Yeah, they just cut this recently, but I was shocked at how far
Right.
in they went. I've never seen that on the state
Yeah.
highway.
but it looked nice.
It did, but it just shocked me because I
Yeah.
thought, well, did the guy get stuck? But then I went a mile or 2 down the road. and it was- Yeah.
I wonder if it could be something to do with, an invasive species like wild parsnip.
Maybe.
If you can cut that early and cut it back and get it before it builds a head in the seed pod, it will die out, that, because they got to reseed themselves. So some of that, if you cut it aggressive and cut it back like early June and they haven't built a seed pod yet, that could be what it's for.
That could be because it was sporadic. I mean, there was one spot where they made a single pass and then the other places they were at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never seen them cut that
I
like.
would guess that's what it's for. We've been, the Bad River Tribe has a group that does some wild parsnip control. And they've been out doing some on C and on 13, and they've asked us not to mow until after next Monday. To give it enough time to work and kill that plant off. But
Okay.
so, the tribe is trying to keep it from getting into the reservation, of course, and
So they're spraying then?
they're spraying, yeah, they're working wherever they find it.
So your plan right now is to do 2 passes on like 13.
Yeah, we'll do one right away, right now. We try to get 1 pass done on the whole system by the 4th of July. Once we get that, then we'll start. Some of the second might get done soon.
But you only cut it once.
Yes. That's all the state. mowing
So
policy allows right
we
now.
do the federal highway too, right? US highway.
Yes,
How come we haven't, and did we start that yet? The
Uh,
federal,
that, we are starting mowing today,
the federal.
everything.
Okay.
They treat the state highways and the federal highways the same.
Does all the counties get the same rate for doing that?
They just get paid by the hour for the man hour, the whatever type of piece of equipment falls under the state equipment rates.
Okay, but everybody gets the same rate,
Yes, you could have a different size tractor that got it,
more money
But-
than.
but it all goes off of your piece of equipment and where it falls in that rate system.
So are you leasing equipment again this year? or-
We have a mower tractor, yes.
Is that one that you guys, we used last year, you moved a lot of acres and a lot of miles in a day.
Yeah,
I think you cut Odina like in 1 day.
yeah,
Up
they
and back.
do like,
Holy crap.
I don't know, close to 30 miles in a day with that
Wow.
tractors. Yeah, we generally just rent one for a month. We go do 1 pass on the whole state and then it goes maybe a week on the county system, but
We're not doing any towns that, are we?
we do not mow for towns on a general basis. Sometimes they'll hire us to run our boom mower and do some brushing for them, like Jingles will. But we haven't done any long line mowing that I'm aware of
Mm-mm.
for towns.
Okay. That is a
Um,
schedule.
so yeah, I got, 22 construction projects. So County Highway GG, we awarded that bid to Northwoods Paving. That's July, August. They haven't not given me a start date yet. That will be in conjunction with the State Highway 13 paving project from Mellon, approximately 10 miles south. Like I say, I have not seen a pre-con on that project yet, so I do not know a start date. I think they're tied up over on 63 in Bayfield County right now. So I'm thinking once they get that done, it'll be, yeah, July and probably August when they get to Ashland County. The other project going on right now is on State Highway 112. The bridge over the White River is being rehabbed. Basically, they took 2 or 3 inches off the bridge top, and then they're redoing the sides down to the water line. Basically, that's scheduled. I think it closed on June 6th, and it's supposed to be open by July 12th.
Where's that truck traffic going, into Ashland and out, or are they going to Hayward? Because if
Yeah.
all that pulp out of Glidden was running that road for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to stay on 13 up to Ashland.
Okay. or go to
13,
Hayward.
112.
They could go to Hayward enough.
Yeah, they could go take
They're running-
63, but
they're
63 is a work zone too from.
They're running multiple trucks
Yeah.
every day.
I haven't.
I was
noticed any
shocked
coming
that they
through.
ran, I know they wanted to stay out of Ashland, but the fact that they ran the White River and then 118.
Yeah.
It-
118 is a really nice road right now. It's
Right.
narrow, but
Yeah, that's
it
nice.
has nice pavement.
But you keep those logging trucks on there, let's see how long it holds.
Well, keep them off for a month this summer. anyway.
Right, okay.
So I'll just touch base quick on projects for next year. As I mentioned, County Highway E, we're changing culverts there this year. We did receive that BIL grant for that section, so that will be being paved next year. So we want to go through and make sure we change any bad culverts and get that as the best we can, getting ready for that project.
Who inspects those?
The
The culverts?
That'd be, we install them ourselves, our crew and yeah. between
No, but
Bruce
we
and I,
inspect them to see if they're.
Yes, yeah, we inspect them, yes. There's 14 culverts on that section. Couple of them, we're gonna shove some liners through, and then we're gonna change probably 10 of them, dig them out, so. I gotta look, I'm meeting Sean from the DNR there on Wednesday. There's a couple of them that are kind of pretty wet, and we're gonna look at them with her to see what she thinks for sure, so. Before we make any final decisions, but yeah. So yeah, that's just so next year, I did had Amber put in a packet here,
The very last page.
very last page.
Yep.
So this is the 6-year plan from the DOT, the latest plan that I have. It just, if anybody's interested, you can kind of see out ahead. The projects, this year, of course, is 13. Next year, they're gonna do US 2 from Government Road to Iron County. They're also gonna do Highway 13 through Mellon up the golf course. That's gonna be a big project. Mellon's doing water and sewer in with it, so that's gonna be a disaster next year. Go down past that, looks like 137 is getting resurfaced in 24. 13 from Butterworth Road up to US 2 is gonna be in 25. 169 is scheduled for 25. 77 East is scheduled for either 25 or 26. 13 from Price County line up to Morse Road is scheduled for culverts in 27. And some culvert ditching. US 2 from Beezer to Stunts looks like is in 28. US 2 Bear Trap Bridge is scheduled to get a rehab in 28. And Highway 13 from Price County line to Morse is scheduled to get resurfaced in 28. So that's just a 6-year overview of the
So-
state's projects.
So Glidden to Morris roughly, Butternut to
butternut
That's
to Morse,
28, 6 more years.
6 more years.
You know,
It's
there's
gonna be a
something
disaster.
fundamentally
That's
wrong with the
crazy.
state's thinking. If it was Milwaukee, that road wouldn't be like that next year.
Yeah,
That's right.
There's no way that road's gonna hold up for 6 more years,
Yeah.
wedged or not. It ain't.
Yeah,
Horrible now.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, you always have the option of contacting the DOT and expressing your views. It does help, I can tell you. I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but when they get public input, it does help. So,
I know, well, over the Birchard Bridge over there, over the, God, I'd have to say at least 10 years before I retired in 2013, that's 9 years ago.
mhm,
They've had issues with the bridge deck, they're patching that bridge deck, patching the bridge deck. And this is another 5 years old.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they put a barrier down and then they paved over that. And it's been nothing but problems because water infiltrates through that barrier and just blows the surface off that road all the time. It's just a mess.
So what are they going, like on Highway 13 by Butternut, what are they going to do in 6 years?
So in the first
They're not
year,
gonna do what they did last time.
27, they'll go through like they did this section, they'll change all the culverts out, or the one, 2 years ago, they changed from Mellon South.
Yeah.
And then the next year, that's scheduled to be resurfaced, so.
Yeah, the wedging, there were more busted up windshields in that wedging project than there ever was for anything.
Yeah.
It was,
Yep. So yeah, that's basic overview of the projects or the construction, so.
any questions? Otherwise, we'll go to item 6, the budget.
Done the fun stuff. So we've been working to put together a budget for next year. Dan is requesting budget due by July 15th. So we thought we'd start today by, a tentative budget, go through it with the highway committee. And we can talk about it, discuss it. If any changes need to be made, we can make them and vote on it probably have a meeting on July 11th would be our next regular scheduled meeting. So before the 15th, so we could turn in our
July 11th.
July 11th would be the second Tuesday that we normally would meet,
Monday.
or Monday,
Mhm.
sorry, Monday.
July 11th.
Yeah, that's tentative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question in regards to the bills.
Mhm.
Okay,
Is now the time to bring it up or no?
Yep.
oh, yeah, you could,
Okay, I see there's a Ashland Ford Chrysler number 11 for $1,900 and some dollars. What was that?
that's one of the one tons.
That's a, and it was like a air conditioning.
There was I think a flapper door between the heat and the air conditioning was sticking and they had to replace some stuff in that system
It wasn't anything
On
we
one of
could
the
do.
big trucks?
on a 1-ton truck,
Okay.
F-350. Yep. So,
Thank you.
I don't know,
Any other questions on this?
Well, I see, there's 2 payments there of $27,000+ to health insurance. Are those two?
every month.
That once a month, yeah. So there's 2 months worth in there, May and June.
I see there's 2 different dates.
Yep, I send her a check to that fund once a month, so.
So that's what we pay for health insurance?
For the highway department.
Highway
On a
department.
monthly basis?
Mhm.
Oh,
Is
2 times
Is,
12 is $36,000.
what the county collects deducted from that?
$300,000?
There's employee share.
The employee share gets paid out of our paychecks to the county.
Yep, so that's our
Simple math I
90%
use.
then.
Okay, so that is 90%.
Mhm.
So they're paying 10%.
Expensive.
Mhm.
That it is.
Cost of doing business.
I thought I'd start with, because we didn't get a chance to go over it, but on the first page, you'll see that 2021 estimated versus actual. So I know you and I, Mike and I had talked about that a little bit, so I thought, see if you guys had any questions on that for last year's revenue and expenses. We went over on both.
So we estimated at $3,821,530.40. with actual revenue of 4,137,941.46. And then on the expenses, we estimated at 4,110,606, and we had actual of 4,322,908.65.
So the state highway winter revenue, which was down, it was down because you didn't have to plow as much?
Yeah,
Yes, in 2021, yes.
Okay. So we want bad winters.
well, in the end, like, with the RMA, we get like 900 and
Basically $1 million.
basically $1 million. So whatever we don't spend in winter expenses, then we can do more summer maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those two numbers together they fluctuate year to year and, but yes, then they can do some other maintenance if we have a more of a mild winter.
So we netted a positive 130 roughly.
No, we had a negative.
Oh, that number's not on here.
Right here.
We had,
Yeah, I mean, between the two. And
mhm,
so we had about 130 more income than we had expenses in the difference.
So
I don't have this on here, but see, it's not.
Now, what happened to the money that you overspent on brushing? They didn't claim that back. They
no, they just paid it.
paid it. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you look at
So that's-
revenues. The RMA 799 and 305. So it's basically 100. So we had 1.1 in revenue where we were only supposed to have, 987,000 is what's budgeted. I think it is.
Yeah, we went over about 110,000.
Yeah, they paid that with no
Okay.
problems.
Is the estimated, is that what you budgeted?
Correct.
Yes.
So Marty is actually right, because we got 316,000 and the expenses was 188, so there's a difference of about 130,000.
Yeah.
More revenue, right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Because it would be 316 versus 188, we had more expenses, so there's about $130,000 there that we actually took in that we didn't spend, right?
Well, I mean, do we want to look at the total income actual was 4.13 and the total expenses was 4.32.
In your budget, you have a difference of.
Yeah, we have a difference in there. So there,
It
there's-
reduced the deficit roughly would be.
Yeah, because we had anticipated, as I said, I thought this was in here, but through translation, things got.
so we,
lost.
some of that, we had anticipated using some of our savings dollars in there, so, yeah.
So you didn't have to.
We didn't have to use as much.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
But the bottom line, we still were 188 over.
In the budget, but yeah. But that doesn't, like I say, we're. I
So
don't know
like,
how to say it, I mean,
we can see up here, like, budgeted, we'd figured taking out of improvement fund and operational fund about 290,000 right over here. And then in actual, we only went over on expenses with the gain in revenue and expenses, it was 184.
so.
So
just
that's
over-
more the number that we want to
Yeah,
compare.
So it came out better than you anticipated.
yeah,
Yes.
by 104,000.
And that's all, all projects, including the improvement fund projects and everything, looking at it all in one picture. Any questions on that?
What's this private entity expense?
So that is, basically that revenue is from Bad River Tribe. which after talking with the consultants, I'm moving that starting, you'll see that moved in the 2023, actually 2022. We're gonna move it, but for 2023 in the budget, I have it put in there. Township revenues is what it's called, but I changed it to local government because that is a government agency. And in the state Form A report that we do, that includes towns, tribes, any of that would be
School
considered,
districts. What
school
would-
districts would be under that same,
What would you have done for the tribe?
basically that's salt sand,
We sell them salt sand.
Okay.
yeah. That's
I
the,
don't know.
Yeah,
that's
we
the
don't
majority of
really
that.
do any work for them per se. We might sell them a culvert or something every now and again, but mainly it's salt sand for winter maintenance.
So do you sell salt sand to Thomas Dunbar too now?
Yes.
Yep.
I thought,
Is that just a break even deal?
We charge what
And the
our
material.
expense is. Yeah. When it's all, after we make it all, the computer averages all of the costs and we come out of cost per ton and then we sell it to them. They can either pick it up or some of them we deliver it and charge them for that too. So,
Do most of the towns do that or?
yeah, I think Agenda, Chippewa do not.
Yeah, they don't.
I think they get from Price County.
Well,
What a-
thing that squirt down there.
Oh,
But I
I haven't
think-
guessed.
think the
oh,
I think the rest of the towns mostly get salt sand from us, yes.
Not on the agenda, Marty.
He wasn't invited.
Can't speak.
The public is.
where's he
out.
from?
Does that work?
Yeah.
He's a hybrid one, I can tell.
Getting him full of alcohol, I see. That's funny.
Okay,
Any other questions on that one? Then on the next page is just showing what was budgeted and purchased for the new equipment.
In 21.
In 2021 again. And then the same thing with the 2021 improvement fund.
Did we get everything that we actually wanted?
Last year. we
Or
did, yes.
needed?
Yeah, last year we did. This year, different story. so far.
Okay, but last year in 21, we got everything that we requested,
Mhm.
but in 22, that's not gonna happen.
Well, we'll talk about that yet. Yeah, down the road here.
You'll see why. And then on the next page. Right. Dan, I'm gonna share my screen so you know what page I'm on. I gotta find it. No, it's
Don't
not.
wanna switch.
No, it won't let me. Okay. Okay. So this page now, this is where I took all the numbers and I took out anything that had to do with improvement fund. This is something I've been doing since I started here. So we're looking at strictly like operational money in and out, not doing any of the major road improvement projects. So these are the same accounts that we saw on the previous page, but just showing where we were at for over the last 7, 8 years. 9, oh my gosh, I've been here a long time, so however much long I've been here. I like it because then this is what we use, I use for like averaging out cost. So when we start working on our budget, so now like working on 2023 budget, I had one more full year in to use as a good reference when we're unsure, but especially for winter maintenance, I like to use kind of a estimate based on our averages over the years. So obviously you can see some are higher and lower, but it seems to kind of balance out. So I don't know if you guys have any questions on that page, anything that's jumping out at you.
so back in 2016, that 4.6 million, or is that because of the flood or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was even a line, like I have, there's like a state flood revenue, and that year we had almost 1.2 million in revenue for the state flood, which then there was also equal expenses on the other side, but
When we're working on our averages, we always take 16 out
Yeah.
because it skews the numbers all.
Oh, yeah.
I don't include 16 in my average. I don't want another year like that to be an average year. I know Matt doesn't either.
Yes, sir, it jumps out there, but there's an average, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The flood's been that long or no?
I know, seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
Seemed like a year or two.
There was one
Two
in
or three.
18, but that mainly hit Bayfield County, very minor in that.
It's, you
Yeah.
know, you remember things, Kennedy's assassination, things like that. That flood I remember, because I went to work and they came running in like in a panic, and it was a problem. They said, well, got all these roads washed out. I said, what are you talking about? And I had just driven 10 miles. I didn't see any
Yeah.
water.
That's, you know,
You didn't
Amber-
go north, did
No.
you?
Ever lived in Washburn, and I didn't call them all through the night. You know, it started about 9 p.m. and I think it was 5 in the morning. I finally decided, well, I better call them and wake them up. I called them. Yeah, we have some flooding here. It says Highway 13's washed out. Highway 13. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure.
I'm
I
standing
said
here.
Silver Creek and Trout Brook are washed out. So, like, washed out, I said, yeah. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure.
That's a heck of a thing to wake up to.
Oh, yeah.
On his birthday note last.
That's right, it was his birthday.
Yeah,
That, I will, yeah, I won't forget that. That night either, and that next morning was,
Yeah,
we were on an island for a while.
the first road I got sent to was Quarry Road.
okay.
Oh, is it? Corey Road?
And then after I drove across what was left of the one lane, I thought maybe I made a mistake, because what if it's gone when I get back? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Our guys drove over one that night. And then it was gone right behind them shortly. So,
That was C, wasn't it?
yeah,
Down here.
yep.
Yeah,
That's
A lot of
when
damage.
Elmer Lippo drove across
Tried
there
to
by
drive in
Reamers
there,
Yeah.
and
And
he
that was,
lost, he
that was,
lost the truck
that was during the day
Drowned.
too.
Yeah.
I mean,
a
that
couple
was
days
like
after,
actually.
After, yeah, that's right.
It
Yeah,
was like a day after.
it was a day or two after, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was that night or something.
No.
No,
it
it
wasn't
was
that
the
night.
day
Next
after.
day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was too bad.
Yeah.
okay, so
Okay, so any questions on that one before we move on to? Oh, you know what? Okay, so then on the next sheet. Here. So this is the road and bridge. I noticed I didn't change my year up there. It should say 2023 on the top, but so I love 22 budgets. We can compare to 23. Honestly, we aren't anticipating a whole lot of changes. So we kind of left our county maintenance both the same at this point on like the maintenance part of it. So that revenue, we pretty much left the same. I'll show you the supporting document when we get to the capital outlay and the breakdown on what we're asking for the debt levy for the improvement fund, work we want to do on the equipment. So I'll get to that next. So this is basically Fund 21 now that we're broken down to two funds. This would be under Fund 21 revenue and expenses when it goes in the budget. And then on the next page is going to be a Fund 71, and this is our operational.
Let's go back to that other page and just go through it line by line.
The one before this.
This here one, this.
Yeah.
this
this one.
page,
Sorry,
yeah.
go back one.
Yeah.
So on that first line, we are trying to lower our request. We did include what was the range we were given, like 6.2 to 8.6 after that finance meeting.
for wage increases for
Yeah.
employees.
So it did include the 8.6, and that was, I believe it was about like $80,000.
So what we're trying to do is Dan has indicated that, you know, we need a cut to the general levy. You know, they want to give raises to all employees, which they need to, you know, I mean, like I said, I lost one already to Northern Clearing. I heard through the grapevine this weekend that I have another one that, and this one, I can't tell you any details. This one's a top line
Okay.
employee. We do not want to lose him. He's also thinking about jumping ship. If he goes, he's a younger guy. He's top of the line employee, and I hate to lose him. And it's over wages. I mean, it is. So we're hoping, we haven't said anything to employees as of yet about possible increases, just because we don't know, but we were discussing it this morning. We think we want to throw it out there that the county, you know, board finance committee has indicated, you know, 6 to 8% increase. Maybe that will, you know,
Hold
make
off.
them quit looking. I don't know. I just, it's a tight spot. So so Dan has indicated, you know, some of the other departments in the county have a hard time to increase wages, you know, say clerk's office, you know, they basically have wages and office supplies. They don't have a method. Wages go up, you know, your budget has to go up, right? They don't have anywhere that can cut. So we figured we would, last year, our general levy was 562. We're putting in a request for 500. We would lower that. And then also our raises here are included farther down in we're leaving our county highway maintenance the same. Basically, it only affects the county dollar because the state dollar, they pay the higher wages for anything we work on. State townships, you know, they pay what we charge them. So that doesn't affect that. So county wages, we're anticipating next year. Last year, we did a lot of culvert work on GG. This year, we're doing a lot of culvert work on County E. Next year, we're anticipating a little less highway work on the county system maintenance work. So we would have absorbed the wage increase into the out of the road work, basically, of what we've done in the past. So we can try to lower our general levy a little bit, but also still account for raises for the employees. If that makes sense.
I see federal aid. We got 23, we got $1 million something, in 22, we didn't get nothing, or what?
Yeah, so
Why is that?
that's that county highway E project that we're getting $1 million in BIL funds for County E next year.
In 23.
In 23 and 22, we did not get any federal, you know, last year, 21, we did the flap project on GG South. We got federal dollars on that one. This year, there's no federal dollar projects. You know, GG project is for 22 is county dollars, the 820, and then 300 and some of LRIP state dollars. So
We do have that broken down in one of the future pages here, so we'll talk about that, but
which you'll see in the 22, we only estimated. What did you need?
I'm just here to fix the power washer.
Okay, yeah, if you head in the shop, they'll take care of you.
Already perfect.
Okay,
Thank
yep.
you.
So in 22, for 22, we only figured 70,000 for LRIP. That was when we did the budget last year. We didn't know they had a new cycle started last fall, and there was more money in that program. The state put more money in it, so we got another.
If we're getting all that extra money, are we doing we're doing a lot of extra work?
Basically that just accounted for the increase of cost. Cost
Okay.
went up
Exactly.
36%.
Okay,
So we got this extra money, and the numbers came out almost perfect, but
okay.
just, you know,
So
if
we did, I guess the thing is, I was trying to think is if we did all this extra work, do we need more employees? You know, because
Yeah.
if we're getting all this money, there's more work.
that's all contractor work.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, that basically, we got a couple $100,000 extra from the state and the project cost a couple $100,000 extra because of asphalt price increase. So we broke even on it. We're still able to pave the 5 miles that we had planned to. But yeah, it didn't,
So that was a good thing.
it was, I mean, it was good. It worked out. So yeah, basically, so we talked about the county levy, 500,000. State transportation aids is 491. That is what we received in 22. We budgeted 466. They also upped that a little bit, so we have no idea. I expect that number to stay the same this year, just because,
Or actually go up a little bit because I'm redoing all the,
yeah, possible if we can.
yeah, I mean, maybe not significantly, but like, working with the advisors. I had never, honestly, like I'd never seen Form A before. Why? I mean, I don't know why. It was never something that was either shared for me to review what the auditors put in or not. But so when putting in the numbers for the 2021 and putting them where they belonged on the right line items, we found, I think it probably increased it a possibility of 50,000 just for that 1 year for our average. And so we're gonna go back the last 5 years and look at redo those. So that would change our 6-year average.
It's a possibility. Supposedly, Mike and Steve, the financial consultants, found where the auditors fill out this form, they've been making a mistake for who knows, but the state will only let you adjust your numbers for 6 years prior. So we're hoping to readjust them numbers and maybe we will pull a
So there
little
is
bit
a
more
chance.
dollars out of there. We don't know that for sure yet.
So
So
then the auditors are
Mhm.
not Steve and Mike.
No,
Well, Steve and Mike are just a consultant.
consultants found it, the
they found
auditors,
the
yeah.
mistake. Yeah, looking at it.
So then, I just questioned it because I'd never, that would have been something, I guess, if I saw the report, I could have caught some of that stuff, knowing that it was in the wrong line. Wrong line item, to change it. So working with them and, I have reports and that's on one of my next projects here. I want to have it done by July 15th, updating some of the revenue and expenses, just where they're placed in there makes a big difference.
So prior to submission, you have access to this report now?
Yes, like they, Mike sent it to me, the consultant from the auditor, and then I made the changes to it based on, my 2021 revenue and expenses, and then, listed out
So you
where it
made the
came
current
from and
changes.
sent it back to it. Yeah. So 2021 report is correct. So there could be some increase in that, just on that one report. And then going back, working with Mike on this one, him and I talked about it quite a bit. We're going to go back and make the changes for the 5 years prior to that. And
You cannot recoup any of the dollars from them years because let's just use $1 million. It's way more than that, but the state has $1 million for GTA gas tax dollars, and they allocate it out and they pay it all out that year.
Mhm.
If something is wrong, they don't go give you your 50,000 that you screwed up. They'll go back and change your numbers, your averages, so it will reflect going forward. But they did not do any type
Sure.
of reimbursement for the past.
So you bumped your average up.
That's what we're hoping. We're hoping we can bump our average up. They go off a 6-year average, and it's right about 19% of that 6-year average that they pay us. So if we can bump it up, 100,000, we'll get, 19% of that 100,000.
That would go forward to 23.
Yes.
24 and so on.
yeah,
Yes.
because just based on that 1 year, he kind of crunched some numbers and he said it's definitely worth looking at those other years. So I will be doing that here, like I said, very soon, or go to have it
By
back to me by
July
July.
sometime.
Get back to Mike, but before July 15th, and then it's all due by the end of July. So
So
there is a chance we could get a little bit more there.
the consultants actually saved us money.
They
Possibly,
did.
Yeah.
yeah.
Saved or made us money.
That's a possibility, until it's all
Yeah.
said and done. We don't know the exact numbers, but it's a possibility.
So we'll
that
know
they-
by the end of July.
We won't know at the end of July, but he might be able to run like a estimate or a guesstimate. I could maybe ask Steve if he has an idea, but
If they redo them numbers, we could take it and we could figure out
Yeah.
So
up
how could
close.
those auditors not know?
But they just, I don't know if it's just an ask or if they just assumed off like what previous years, like, you know, before me even, of taking those certain accounts and then putting them in where they thought they should go. But, so it should get easier too, because now, you know, once doing that report, it made it easier for me to understand a little bit more of what's expected. So now I pulled out for 2022, I have more revenue accounts and we've added like, we charge an admin fee. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into it, but so now that gets pulled out because that goes under a different line item on that Form A. So it'll make it easier both for me, you know, and the auditors from this point forward to pull these numbers correctly. I'll still probably need to review it and make sure that they're doing the right ones, but this will make it easier.
You know, I asked Emmer this question, have you ever seen this Form A? And he was here 30-some years. He never seen it.
Oh, wow.
So-
And I'm assuming John never did with prior to me
Yeah,
either.
so it's something
I think
that
they
we
just,
probably should have been seeing, but we weren't for whatever reason.
But we
Yeah.
do know.
yes, so that
Yes.
definitely this was a,
So then
Okay.
like say, for instance, when you do this new report, it's not a new report, it's the report.
Mhm.
Do you sign it now or,
No.
or is this something the auditor's still gonna do and we're not gonna have a copy of it?
No, we should be able, like, I mean, I can request a copy of it, you know, even when, let's say when Mike and Steve are done being our consultants. I will ask the auditors for it before they submit
It
it.
should be on the program, right? The computer
So then
program?
we're gonna
Well,
direct
they-
the auditors through our consultants that we get a copy of this report and this is where we want to put these dollars so that they're correctly filed as opposed to
Yeah,
what they've done in the past.
well,
Yes,
and I'll be making relationships with the auditors, you know, like, or we got a new auditor this year too, but, you know, and, you know, I've made relationships with the old ones, so I anticipate making a relationship with these ones and being able to ask for that, you
So
know.
the auditors we're
next
talking
year.
about, are these the guys that have been working for us for 29 years?
Whipsley.
Yeah, prior to this year, correct.
Enough said.
Yeah, exactly. So these, you know, these, and then I said that these maybe would have asked me too, I don't know, but, you know, having Mike and Steve on that, it was definitely, I think a very positive thing. So I'm like, what are you talking? Why didn't I see, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, why haven't I seen this? And he's like, good question.
I'm thinking now that we have new auditors, you're gonna be a little bit more proactive because
Hopefully.
like I had made mention, when the auditors wanted, so someone on budget committee, it says, these auditors would really like to meet with you because I'm chairman of finance committee.
Mhm.
So they asked me some fraud, waste and abuse questions and what have you. And so I says, do you mind if I ask a few questions? No, I asked, would you mind if I field a few questions? He looked at me, he says, well, not usually, but go ahead.
Mhm.
Then I asked first question I asked, I says, how long you been auditing for Ashland County? And he says, well, as long as I've been here. And then Sue came from on the other side. She says, since 92. And I says, what? 1992? Most of you being on the board heard what I brought up to the Ashland County Board. I said, this is unspeakable. I mean, we don't,
Sure,
and now that, of course, I'm sure prompted, let's get this out.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's good to shake the tree once in a while.
Well,
Yeah.
come on, 90,
Yep.
that's unheard of.
No, but I'll
In
definitely,
29 years.
each year, I'll, you know, like I said, even when Mike and Steve are done, like, you know, now I know I will check with them, you know, it'll be on add it to my auditor checklist that I have every year. But, so we'll see what happens from that. So that line item could
Yeah.
Good,
change.
good.
So county debt levy improvement fund, we left that at 820, and we'll go through our capital improvement plan here further down the line to talk about that number. County debt levy equipment at 430. We'll talk about that also in the capital improvement plan. County equipment revenue. So this is new this year. We're estimating 350,000 that revenue that we make on our equipment that will be used to purchase equipment. So that was one of the changes with Mike and Steve, the financial consultants, to do that. So that will also be talked about under the equipment and the capital improvement plan in a bit. Federal aid, that $1,019,000, that is for County Highway E through the BIL grant that we applied for and received. So that brings our total revenues to $3,610,218. Move to expenditures, so we're leaving the county highway maintenance and the winter maintenance the same as last year. The patrol super revenue will be the same. So the expenditures, it shows that $2,034. That will be between County Highway E and then also the other projects that we have under the improvement plan that we will talk about. We'll go through all them projects here in a minute. And then County Highway equipment purchases of $780, which will also be addressed in the capital improvement plan. So total expenditures of $3,798,352. So we have expenditures higher than revenues of $188,134, and we anticipate taking that from our fund balance.
Yeah.
So
How much money do we have in that fund? Roughly.
I'd have to look, I mean, without, at the, I guess I'm anticipating about $1 million, I'm like just gonna say, because I think just looking at my plan here for improvement fund at the end of this year, we're looking at about 945,000 left, so I would say, around that $1 million, our
Where did that money come from?
improvement fund,
that's our savings. We've been saving for planning for projects.
Okay,
and
so we've had it.
mhm.
So we had 900 and some thousand, or next year we'll lose about 200,000.
Mhm.
So we'll still have 700 and some thousand.
That's our hope.
So that won't have to go on the budget then.
Yes,
The other way to look at that is you have to be careful.
So once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, that somehow we rebuild it somehow or something, because,
well, that will change a little bit, hopefully, with this new system of our accounts.
Mhm.
Hopefully, with this new fund, segregated fund, we can build. If we use it all, we won't be able to, but there's a possibility to build. In the past, we've built that, but finance took $1 million plus this spring out of that account
Right.
that we've been building. So
I'm just saying,
yes,
if each year you took 200,000, then at some point you hit a wall and you say, well, boy, we need this.
yes.
We used to take it from here.
Mhm.
It'd be nice if we could somehow replenish some of those dollars.
Yes.
And that's what
I
we've
agree.
been saying kind of all along too, but
Yep.
The question I have is like last year, we had these 3 projects and they all came in under budget.
Mhm.
And we took some of the under budget funds and then we did these 3, what do you call it, RFPs.
Shovel ready.
Shovel ready
Yes.
projects,
Yep.
okay?
Mhm.
And there's still some revenue left. The revenue that was left, that was saved,
That's just,
That's this.
it's in the improvement
Yes.
fund, yes,
that goes to the improvement.
yes.
Yeah.
We don't lose that back, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, I have one other question here too, backing up here to the county equipment revenue. Now, this is what we charge for the use of our equipment when we hire it out,
To ourselves also,
or to
Yep.
ourselves as well.
yes. These 2 funds, how they work now is we have the budget, and when we do work, we charge ourselves
Mhm.
for that.
Right,
Yes, so
so,
that
so
will be
then
that
at what
350
rate, do we use a state rate or?
state rate, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
so like, if you look at that, the history, like the last 9 years, this one again.
Mhm.
So if you see that number 53240 on the bottom, and it's got 133,000 from 2021, 64,000, -22, see it's different every year. So that account, and where I got the 350 to use for this year is basically our depreciation expense. So that number you hope to be $0 at the end of each year. By the time I get done depreciating all the equipment, closing out the shop overhead, all that stuff goes into that 53240 account. And our hope is that it's 0. And you can see some we've over recovered some years in the past and other years we under recovered. that just stays, it doesn't go into like a fund balance or anything like that. So that's kind of an unknown that we never know what that account will be every year, but we're very comfortable. So what we can do very easily is take the depreciation expense. So 2021 depreciation for equipment was $350,000, right around there. So that's $350,000 in expenses that'll get put in here as an entry that we would have $350,000 cash to spend on equipment. So if next year we have more equipment and our depreciation ends up being 370, that number will change each year, but that's where I got that 350, where we're comfortable, and that can fluctuate a little bit every year. Mhm.
So that 350,000 that's not actual revenue, is it?
No, because, so that account, I could print out a detail for you and show you
Because
it
it
sometimes, but
says, it's revenue, but we're not actually getting 350,000.
no. So like we
Yeah.
charge ourselves, so like if we had three,
Does
I don't
this-
have it
does
on
the
this
state-
computer.
It's almost like cost of doing business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but does the state and the federal or whatever reimburse us for using our equipment?
Yes,
Yes.
at the state rate.
Yep.
That's all part of that
That is part of
number.
the revenue, so,
Yeah,
so what your
So
hope
they,
is,
even though we use it for our own projects and stuff, the state still reimburses us.
the state reimburses us for what we use on the state, and like the towns reimburse us what we use on the town. And then the county reimburses what's on the county. So even like if we had, under these county equipment, like, expenses, that includes our revenue charges to ourselves. So, and the hope is at the end, if we had $1 million in, revenue, that we had $1 million in expenses, which would also include the depreciation, fuel, any repairs, shop overhead. So that would be like insurance, our shop superintendent doing inventory, cleaning up the shop, like that all gets closed out into that account.
There's a whole this is one item, but there's a whole page of some.
Yep.
That all accrues too.
And if you
Yes.
wanted, I could go print one out right now and I could show you what all goes in that account, but, and show you, that's why you want it to come to zero.
They're actually paying over cash for depreciation into the fund.
Mhm.
So it's funded depreciation, I guess. The-
Yes.
That's a good thing. That's a smart way to do it.
Mhm.
The only problem with it is you're dealing with the historical cost and your replacement is gonna be higher.
it is.
But
Yes.
that's
We will talk about that in the
In
the
next
capital
couple
improvement
minutes,
plan. So we have more than 350 in equipment requests, and we hope to take that out of debt still. Because of, we're getting that at this level, and it's costing us at this level coming up, I
Mhm.
mean, especially now, so,
But at least you have a good start on the money. part.
yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Any other questions on that?
Mhm.
Mhm. So then the next one would be Fund 71, which is the operational. We're comparing 23 to 22, we're keeping it pretty much the same. Local road improvements, that's just our admin fee for Matt that runs the LRIP program. We get an admin revenue from the state.
Mhm.
That's what that is. Non-metallic mine, you don't anticipate that changing too much, right?
No, I mean, we bumped it up a little bit. We added a gravel pit. Which, Kafka was, I think it was the last one. Which, the one up in
Ashland,
Ashland,
yeah,
Ashland sand and gravel up behind the cemetery in Ashland. So as pits get added, we get more revenue from that, from the yearly fees.
So we bumped that up just a little bit.
Yeah.
All the state revenue, so the RMA and the winter revenue, I'm just gonna skip the DMA right now. Those two are what we talked about before, they add up to that total RMA dollars, which is just under $1 million. So that could fluctuate winter versus county, that might flip flop a little bit. DMA, that's just another, we don't know.
No idea until about April of next year if they're gonna give us any funds through that.
And same thing with when you go down to state LFA and state PBM,
Mhm.
all three of those, we just guess and use maybe like our averages. Because, but like, like this year, we estimated 50,000 for PBM for 2022. We don't have any
We
22.
didn't get any, but we're getting a $100,000+ LFA, so.
Yeah, and which
Instead,
we
so-
had anticipated 40,000,
just,
so it just
You
gets.
know, how
moved.
do you shuffle which line? We do not find that out until usually into the spring, well into the spring so that's just
Yeah, and then the DNR revenue, Matt anticipating for 2023,
working with the DNR on some projects. I don't know a number. We threw 50,000 in there. They're looking at doing some dam removals. It's on, actually in the federal forest and the DNR, they work together through that. Well, if you remember last year, we did a culvert project through them that Good Neighbor Authority. I had it approved through the committee. Last summer, we did that project through federal forest and DNR, and they are anticipating more work for next summer, so.
So then the county or we work through the Wisconsin DNR.
Yes,
So we don't work with the Corps of Engineers.
no, I
Like the
mean,
tribe has to work with. the Corps
yeah,
of
they
Engineers.
might have to get a core permit for doing these things, but they take care of,
They do that.
they do it all. Yeah, we just do the work for them. They have it all. It's on federal forest. Federal forest draws all the plans and does all the permitting, whatever. But it's paid for through the DNR, through some Good Neighbor Authority program.
Well,
And you're just like a contractor.
We're just a
Like-
contractor
Yeah.
to them, yes, yep.
the local government's revenue, like I said, I just changed that account name. That's gonna be all towns and now including the, basically the salt sand or the sales to the tribe. So that's why that number's, I upped it a little bit because I combined those two accounts together. Other county department revenues are work we do for other counties and also other in our department,
Yeah, do.
sheriff's department
work
or.
for the courthouse. We did that big project up there this spring, moving everything from the attic out.
all those files.
Yeah,
And that's just kind of using averages that can fluctuate depending, we never know if Barron County is gonna call us to do something major or something, but, and then here's the county, back to the county roads. This matches what goes on the Fund 21 side we just talked about. Anticipating just kind of leaving that the same, except for the improvement projects with that BIL grant, there's a bigger project.
basically $1 million more than last year, but it's that $1 million in federal funding.
And that sale of salvage materials, I've just kind of always put in like 5,000 for that every year because we have some sales, whether it's material, like culverts or scrap. So but that does get closed out at the end of the year. So when we look at this, it'll say 5,000 budgeted and 0, but what it does, it gets closed out into these expense accounts down there, how the state wants me to, how the DOT has me close out accounts. But we still want to include that revenue, so I always keep that in my budget.
If we get revenue that goes into non-lapsing fund.
It stays in our highway account.
Yeah, okay.
Because if it's like culverts that, scrap culverts, whatever, then that would go basically kind of get
Mhm.
put against like a county job or something,
Yeah.
And then if it's scrap from a shop, stuff that we maybe got rid of from the shop side, that goes back all towards the shop. So that might decrease our overhead for the shop for, a little bit, or it goes towards replacing it, but
They turn in all the brake drums and the grouser pads or rails or, for scrap, some of that can add up sometimes. So,
What makes sense to go back to the word originated.
yeah,
and then it all comes back down to that equipment account that we talked about already. So it all circles around. So then going down to the expenses,
I got a
Miscellaneous.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
On the miscellaneous revenue, you went
sorry.
up in 2022 was 1,500, and now you're at 23, 10,000. And it
Yeah.
says it includes 911 signs. What do they pay for putting a 911 sign? If, let's say I built a new house and I got a 911 sign.
it's 200.
$200. So that process got changed. Zoning has been handling it in the past years, emergency management used to do it, then it went to zoning. And now with the zoning change, Dan asked if I would take it over. So how it's working is when there's an application, it still goes, the application goes through the zoning department. They take care of the paperwork end of it. And then between her and Brittany and GIS, she maps it. So $25 of that fee goes to zoning for taking care of the paperwork. 175 comes to highway, and that buys the post, the sign. We have to go out and get a location of the sign for Brittany, a latitude, longitude, so she can map it right. We have to get a locate done on it when the sign comes in, and then we have to install the sign. So that's our portion. That's,
I found out that a lot of people don't get a sign. If you get power, you gotta get a sign, but if you stick up a cabin and you don't get a sign unless you pay for it.
Well,
they have to pay for any
Yeah. sign. The original signs were free
Yeah,
to the landlord, but anybody new that puts up a cabin has to have a sign.
that's not true.
It is.
I'm an assessor. And I pointed out how many of them that cabins have been put up. There's no 911 sign.
Right. but
Okay.
That's up to somebody to report them so that years ago, right after the signs went up, somebody went through the entire county, Dorothy or somebody, and they found like 50 some structures that had no 911 signs. Technically, they weren't even on the tax rolls in a lot of cases. So those people got not only dinged for not applying for a sign, which would have been free originally, but they also were supposed to get dinged for not having paid taxes on their structure.
They can go back 2 years, but I say that the problem still exists. There's a lot of cabins that have no sign and they haven't not paid no fee.
Right?
Now,
So-
is there any effort to try to recoup that, or is it just, we're gonna forget about it? Because like I said, I had talked to the zoning about that and said, hey, what's this 911 sign? There's no number on it. There's, somebody builds a garage on a piece of vacant land. They're supposed to get a 911 number, but nobody's enforcing it. If they don't, that's what I'm trying to say. And I,
That's a
like I
good
said,
question. I don't know the answer because we're just doing the buying the sign and doing the installation, zoning, they get a zoning request, then they tell them they need a sign also. So anything that's out there, that's,
Like if they're building without a permit,
if they're building without a
Oh.
permit or nobody knows, whoever sees it, if the assessor sees it, they should be turning it again into
yeah, but if
zoning.
you turn it into to somebody, who do you turn it into? And they don't do nothing.
Yeah, it should
I
be.
told them about several in the town of Ashland. There's cabins sitting there on a road, nothing's done. And people build all sorts of stuff. They don't get a permit.
Yeah.
And who is there something we should crack down on and say, is there some committee we should take it to and say, hey, if they don't have a permit, we're gonna make it mandatory now that they do get a permit and actually pay the fee. And if they don't pay it, it goes on to the roll.
Well, and that's
would
what
be
we should do, maybe start with zoning and say who's the enforcer, because Marty puts up a cabin and doesn't tell anybody. He should be paying property taxes, so we're all paying his taxes for him.
Well, if the assessor's doing his job, most likely he should catch it, but
Right.
The assessor was doing the job in my case because he found it.
No, but you're right, we should ask, maybe start with zoning and say,
well,
It's
it's,
the
Dan,
enforcer.
Dan is,
Yeah, it's got
got his hand up.
okay, Dan.
Yeah, I just want to know, Bill, how long ago was this you told zoning about that?
oh, pardon me?
How
How
long?
long
How
ago?
long,
Zoning.
yeah,
Normally, as far as an assessor, I used to turn a list into people that didn't get a permit. I turn it in every year. But like I
Okay.
said, this one that stuck up this cabin in the town of Ashland, well, there's several. They never did get a 911 number.
okay.
So
You,
in the
you-
past, supposedly our zoning is supposed to be, if you build something more than 100 square feet, you're supposed to get a permit from the county.
correct, correct.
And that's not happening. That's
Well, it's
not
supposed to be.
In some cases it happens, but there's other ones that are in existence that don't have a 911 number, but nothing is being done. And that's my question.
Okay, well, if you know specific ones, please let me know about it and I'll make sure that we take care of it.
But what's the process of taking care of it?
Well, then I'll send Bruce out there and he'll check for it. And if there isn't, he'll let them know they have to get a sign and give them X amount of time to get it done. If they
Okay.
don't,
Now, if someone sticks up a building for more than 100 square feet, who's going to take care of that? Is anybody doing that now?
well, if you have a contractor, they're gonna come in and get a permit. All the contractors do that. Where we find problems is when people do things themselves. And unless the assessor goes out there and looks at it, it's really hard to find structures that people build themselves.
I turned the list in probably for the last, ever since Josh has been there every year. And some of those people never did get a permit. And some of those people, they built like, one in the town of Shanagolin stuck up like 150 by 100-foot building, and they didn't get one. And people that even work for Ashland County didn't get a permit,
Okay,
and nothing's
Well-
being done.
all right, well, can we talk about this when you have time? And we'll get some specifics and I'll send Bruce out to those.
Sure.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
You're done.
It's a good,
Good point.
yeah.
Well, see, now the highway department is in charge of installing.
Yeah.
Mhm. We're just doing the installations. So.
The contractor again.
And ordering the signs.
And ordering the signs.
Mhm.
Yep. Actually, zoning is ordering signs. She just places the order. The signs get delivered here and billed here, but
Mhm.
she puts the order into the sign company.
So there's, yeah, and that's like starting next year, once there's a fund set up from how this was done before, like a separate for the 911 addressing. So for 2022, there was like budget done on those in there, but starting next year, once that money is spent out of there, like I think we gotta do a sign order and a post order. Then that'll be done. And so I'm working with Sue on converting over to that stuff to Fund 71 and then so in 2023, it should all be able to be like budgeted correctly again after this switch over. Both revenue and expenses will go through here because we won't make money on it. We'll lose money, but it's not, that's
Not
not,
necessarily, because if some of those are missing from the tax roll and they get on the tax roll, the county will collect more money.
no, but I mean, like, we'll get, that's true overall. I just mean like $200 is gonna come here and Matt's gotta make 3 visits to the site.
Yeah.
And then the post is so much and the sign is so much.
You go
We're
in
not
whole,
doing
yeah.
it for money, we're just
No.
doing it.
You're barely covering the cost.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
I've been actually doing it myself, just, I'm out checking the roads and checking on things, so I just incorporate that to do that in with what I'm doing. Rather than sending one of the guys out and then, taking time from what other jobs they have to do.
Well, that'd be
It's
pretty
just-
costly. Yeah.
It works pretty good. I mean, it gives me a chance. I mean, I'm out and about looking at the county roads, but then I get a chance to look at some of the town roads and just see what they have going on also, so. I'm
Yeah.
satisfied with the process so far.
yeah, and it works really well with both zoning and with Brittany. We work well together, it seems like so far, so. we're good with that. So we'll move down to the expenses now. I didn't mean to skip over that, Bill, so thanks for catching that. Administration, I'm kind of just leaving the same two, going off the averages and what we're looking at so far this year. And then patrol, I think I bumped that up a little bit just to cover
For the
the wage increase.
Mhm.
But it's still, the revenue will still stay the same, it just changed that. Radio expenses, GPL was 15,100 in 2021, so I used that. Updated to that number. Radio expense, that's just an average, I took that off that spreadsheet. That change fluctuates and changes. All these accounts we want to zero out by the end of the year. That's what's like that 53240. We can't, I don't know what it'll do, but that's what our hope is. And then some of the other ones gets closed out and then gets put down in this county and state highways. So that's why those are at 0. we already talked about the county expenses, pretty much staying the same. I did increase our expenses on 53310 to reflect the cost of the posts and signs with that additional revenue we're getting. So that they, I just kind of didn't equal out revenue and expenses on that, because like I said, we hope to at least break even. These numbers, the county highway number like that should match what's on Fund 21, the 1.9, that's county highway with the BAL grant. State highway expenses. Said, we're guessing at some of those numbers, but the total of the state should stay about that same. Any questions on any of those expenses? And our hope and dream is that our revenue and expenses, balance out at the end of the year. So we'll move on to the capital improvement.
So as far as an agenda, that was the budget. That's up to you guys if you want to take any action on it. I would suggest holding off until we go through this capital improvement budget and also the equipment purchases. If you want to come back to that to take action, you could, but
Next month.
well, it's up to you if you want to take action today or if you want to make changes for next month. So this is tentative, if you agree with it, you could take action to adopt it, but if you like changes, that's.
If we pass it, does it go to the
Finance.
finance committee?
Oh, yeah.
Finance next, yeah. Yep. So yeah, if Gary's all right with it, we'll move into capital improvement budget.
Yep.
So Dan put together this new capital improvement budget page. I don't know if you all are on the same page as me here. He's asking for a 5-year plan. So for next year, we're looking at the 23 and then the proposed farther out up to 27. So we start in 23. So under building, remodel and rehab, I have 180,000 in there. Our dome across the way down there is losing shingles at an alarming rate. Was it last year or 2 years ago? We rented a big lift and went up and fixed all of them that were bad at that time, and it's continuing to erode. It's gonna need a new roof. I don't, as of right now, into this plan, we put that under state aids to pay for it for the funding source. I'm working with the DOT to hopefully, fund that roof. I'm not sure where that's gonna end up yet. It's
How old is that roof?
I would say as old as that dome, and I don't know off the
That
top
dome was a
of my
while
head.
ago,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been there a while.
Yeah,
I mean, the railroad used to deliver salt.
right.
So it's been-
Yeah.
it's been only-
Yeah.
20 years?
yeah,
Oh,
I would say
probably, yeah. I mean, it's,
okay.
that whole
Could go
conveyor
back.
system that goes up there that the railroad would dump into, that's all rotted out. I mean, it's unusable. It's
I believe it, yeah.
unsafe
We
for
don't have any
use.
railroad anyway, so.
Oh, no. Our thought, we've been discussing it for a year, is how do we get it out of there? It's I don't know, how do you get something up that high inside to be able to lift it and cut it free? It's a.
Well, the salvage prices are up now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe we could put it out.
Um,
You take it down, you can have it.
Yeah.
That might be our best bet. I don't know.
So it's a long handle.
So that's one of the things that we are just looking at. Vehicle,
In 2024, I see you got building construction or purchase.
yes.
350,000. Do you have a plan as far as that?
Yeah, I can talk about that now if you want.
Yeah.
So we've been talking for multiple years about putting a bigger conference room right off the side over here. And so I wrote that in for next year, whether it gets funded or not. I mean,
Is that gonna be shared by the 911 person?
That would-
Emergency management?
it would be used as a secondary emergency operations center. It wouldn't per se be used on a daily basis, but when they need a secondary operation center, it will be designed and be able to be used for that. You know, I mean, there's multi-purpose, you know, of course, this group will use it. We need a nicer, bigger facility for training our employees. We have the little break room right here. It's very, very tight. We would like a bigger facility for that. I mean, I would be willing to let any other department use it for a meeting, or, you know, health department to use it for a flu shot clinic on this end of the county. I mean, there's multiple uses it could be used for, and we're open to whatever, but
Have we applied for any grants on as far as that yet, or is it?
we
too
have
early?
not.
But we would. With
I
the
guess I don't
emergency
know.
with the emergency management.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some funding
It's
available.
possible. I mean, that, you know, Dorothy's on board with getting it. She's been very interested in getting a facility down here. You know, especially now, she always has wanted one forever. But 2 years ago now, we finally got high-speed internet. Before that, our internet was very low speed. She couldn't have done anything here anyway, so.
They've
No.
used us as like a temporary command center sometimes too, like
Yeah.
sheriffs, like when they had those concerts right down the road. They
Okay.
had like a little, I don't know, booking station set up here. They had an emergency trailer out front,
we used
and
the
then they
break
used our
room.
break room. So they would come in here and, so there was somewhere so it just, that's another option that now that we have high-speed internet, that
Yeah.
helps.
Have we heard anything about if they're going to have one of those concerts again this year?
I have not heard.
I think they stopped those, didn't
It's
they?
under new management.
Yeah, but have you heard anything, Barney?
I haven't heard.
I
anything.
heard somebody, like, this is random, like I was on a field trip and there was a guy there and he said, yeah, I always come up for that. I'm gonna come this summer. And I'm like, but I haven't heard of it being, so maybe so there might, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's that one up on Gilligan Road up there too.
The
you know.
smaller
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Oh,
one, yes,
maybe
yeah.
that was the one he was talking about then.
It's possible. That's where
Forgot
that
about
lady
that.
went missing a few years back.
Well, if you build it big enough to have the right stuff in there, maybe we got board meetings in there and be in the center of the county instead of going north all the time.
Same old mileage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be fine. It'd probably be bigger than their current boardroom.
yeah, because that's so small,
It's, yeah.
Yeah,
There really isn't a facility down this way.
that to handle it.
Yeah.
No one would have had one if we would have got
Yeah,
the grant, but they didn't give it to us, so.
but that library's too small, or that.
Yeah, that's too
Yeah.
small.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
this
down there
would
that's big
just
enough.
basically close off from the end of the office. Just close off, and I think we could just extend that roof right over it. Be a fairly simple, easy project, but
It's a good idea if we can find somebody to fund it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
especially with equipment you'd have. to put in
Yeah,
there,
I
you know.
mean, Dan sent this out and he just said, anything you're looking forward to in the future, you know, put it on here, whether it gets funded or not, but it's here to look at. that-
Yeah, that's
that
good.
we're asking.
Mhm.
Good thing, so. So that's that, down to vehicle, equipment purchase replacement. So we put 780 in there this year. If you look down into the 23 equipment purchases, we have a supervisor truck, a loader. Actually, that loader number is too low.
Oops.
Well, no, that's right. It was two with the trade-in. Yeah, that's right. That's
Okay.
right. Yep. And then the plow truck. And what made that number really large is the grader. We've been talking about replacing the old 342 grader. It's a John Deere grader. It's a 1990. It's getting old. It's getting tired, and it's getting very hard to find parts for. So, I mean, you guys should remember, we've had it on our list for years as something we want funded. So here's my thought on it. On why this is a good year. With this $350,000 we're gonna be paying for equipment out of the operations fund. In the past, we've asked for, our equipment has been coming from debt levy. So this would basically keep our debt levy request the same as it has in the prior years. And we would be able to replace that grader. And here's my thought, and you know, disagree if you'd like, agree, whatever. No, the debt levy, if it's a great, sounds great to lower the debt levy. You know, we can lower taxes for the people of Ashland County. It sounds great, and it's a good thought, but if we can keep it the same, not raise it any, but keep it the same, that's a win also, because everybody knows with inflation, rising costs, they're gonna be expecting that there's a possible raise. So if we could keep it the same, that people would be happier probably with a reduction, but they're not gonna be unhappy with status quo. And the problem then comes up if you do lower it next year or 2 years, 5 years down the road, when you need to increase that back again for something, then you're the bad guy again.
Yeah.
So if you can keep it the same, you have a win, plus you're looking ahead into the future. And if you lower it, yeah, it's a win right now, but next year, the next year down the road, then you have a loss. So that is my theory behind it. You guys finance might not agree, Dan might not agree. I don't know where everybody stands, but I just wanted to put my thought forward on it. And I feel that this is my opportunity to fund a grader. I don't see one anytime in the future, because our construction costs are rising and we're gonna need more money for that in the future. So I put it in here, and I'm open for debate and discussion.
What does a new grader cost?
Just over 310 is what we put in there. We would get a
you
little
be
bit.
trading the old one in?
We would trade it in or sell it, probably $10,000-$15,000. Not a lot. It's
It wouldn't pay to keep it then.
it's at the end of its life. The problem is and I'm serious,
Can't get the
we
parts.
can't get parts to
Yeah.
fix it. So you could keep it, and then all of a sudden you just have ready for the scrap iron, because
Yeah.
you cannot fix it
Better off
anymore.
dumping it.
Yes. Yep.
What
So-
about, what about the next few years? I see 24, is there any other big purchases, or I
So,
see they're like in the 400,000?
yeah, we have that
There's
list.
if you go down, like, I think probably 2 more pages, you'll find
It's a few more pages back.
we got the
This
detail
one
on
has a
it.
different detail of all the years of what we're proposing to buy for equipment,
Okay, yeah.
24, 25, 26, 27.
And then we still have 2 pieces of equipment on the side. You see that broom and mower tractor? Somewhere we gotta squeeze those in
That's
too.
where the grader's been for 5 years, but we're just throwing it out there for this year.
I think last year, I don't remember who it was, Rick. It might have been Rick. It's not here anymore, but he said, you just gotta put it in there. That's right. Well, let's put it
Marty
in
has a
there.
question.
Didn't we just do something because the lead time to get a new piece of equipment was not so long?
Yeah, we're gonna discuss that
Okay.
coming up on the next agenda item. Yeah,
Mhm.
yep, that is part of our discussion today. Any questions on the upcoming years? We plan to buy a plow truck every year. We have 10 full-time plow routes. So when we buy a truck a year, that truck is in service on a plow route for 10 years. And then after the 10th year, it goes into the backup fleet. We have about 4 trucks that when something breaks down, that they're ready to go. The guys can just hop in and keep plowing, and the mechanics get to work on the broken one. So they stay in that fleet for another 4 to 5 years. So, we're getting about 15 years of use out of them. And then when we're done with them, they're pretty wore out. Not much left. Rust gets them, unfortunately.
I see we have a mower tractor. Is that the one we rent right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I see in 26, we're getting a new one for 150,000.
That is a boom mower.
It reaches out further.
Yeah, with the boom on there. Yep.
So then now the mower tractor, if we got money left over, that's something we buy now. And then we get reimbursed for cutting the highway with
Yeah.
that. So we'd be taking more income in, or is it
Yeah, I
gonna
mean, you
balance out the same, or would we better not owning it, or are we better to buy it and then, because we're gonna get some reimbursement
Yeah.
every year, right?
So right now, we rent one for a month, we pay, I don't know, is it 5-ish? Can't remember exactly off the top of my head,
Yeah,
$5,000,
$6
$6 to rent it for a year. And we use it just for that mowing. If we owned a tractor, we would be able to use it for other projects, it could pull a roller for grading the shoulder, when we're grading the shoulders, and would have more purposes than just
Mowing.
just mowing. And also 550 is a tractor. The former super or shop super really liked these Case tractors. And I'm not sure why, because they work terrible for mowing. They have a torque converter, so they're not like a regular tractor. And supposedly they have as much power out to PTO as, but they don't. You can't, a regular tractor, you can put it in a low enough gear to keep your RPMs up. This just has like 3 gears. You put it in the gear you want, your RPMs ain't up to go as slow you need. And then it quits cutting, and the guys are steady out cleaning it out or backing up because it quit cutting, it's missing stuff.
Yeah.
It just
Pain.
does not work very well.
Pain, yeah.
So that would be to replace that tractor at some point.
The lease payments you make, are those reimbursed dollar for dollar by the state?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
So if we used it 3 weeks on the state and 1 on the county, I'll take 3/4 of it, charge it to the state, and 1/4 of it, and I'll charge it to the county.
when we rent or lease like that, it doesn't not go on the hourly rate that they have set. It goes off of what we pay.
So then even like fuel that gets put into it, like, or anything we do, that also would get like,
That takes
75%.
That takes a lot of strain off of our capital.
Yes,
Capacity.
it does, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And not only that, you use it for a couple of months out of the year and it just sits there.
Yeah, yep. It's not a bad route to go, but yeah, it's on our wish list,
What about, you got a trailer in there almost every year? You need a trailer almost every year?
So them flow boy trailers,
Yeah,
them are the ones we pull with our tractors. We haul a lot of salt and sand and different stuff.
oh,
They're slowly rusting away.
okay.
We're putting a fair amount into them in maintenance. We need to start looking at replacing them at some point, just the whole frame system is gonna be at a point where it's not safe anymore, so.
If we needed to not buy a grader, if we leased a grader, how would we compare to actually purchasing one versus leasing one?
I guess you
Do
can
they have such a thing where you could lease?
you can lease to own. You can lease. You can do like a 5-year lease and then own it at the end. Yeah.
I think that's what Mellon does, I think.
So you'd make a payment every year, a lump sum payment of
How,
whatever.
how does that compare in price or?
I haven't really looked at it, I guess, to see. I mean,
Is that something maybe we
I
want?
guess just, if it's like a lease for a car, you're paying the full price.
Right.
Because when you lease a car for 3 years, you start out with the full sticker price, no discount. You pay for 3 years, and then the balance due is exact amount, the sticker less your 3 years of lease, and that's the end price. Anybody who leases a car ain't telling you that anything honest, because that truck that's sitting out here was leased for 3 years, and I bought it from the owner. And I saw the original sticker, the total they made for 3 years in lease payments, and that's what the truck was for sale for at the end.
Yeah, but the bottom line is if they're not going to pass this in the budget,
Right,
you see what I mean?
right.
Well, would they be more inclined to go ahead if you were doing it for 5 years and then actually owning it? I'm just saying.
Well, you could, you just move it from the capital side over to the expense.
you know where it's at? Can I
Sure.
pause just, I gotta run.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, if money's gonna be really tight this year, and we do need a grader. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we won't know until you see all the other CIP requests, this is just one department, and
But-
if
but if
they
it's-
increased it,
But if
then.
it's $310,000 that we would have to raise, it's kind of.
Mhm.
The grader we have right now actually paid for itself. Keeping it going for 30 years.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, if we were to buy another grader, if we kept it going for 20 years,
Yeah.
that would be a push.
Mhm.
There's the new stuff doesn't last as.
Right.
Like the old stuff.
Yeah, but if you can get an option to purchase it, like after.
the other thing a person have to look at is whether you leased or purchases, is there one available? 'Cause right now
Yeah,
to buy a vehicle, you're waiting months to get them,
Yeah,
so.
and
we
like
would
our
have-
equipment we're
You're
talking
right,
about.
we'd have to ask and say, okay, what's our options? And then how soon could we get either purchase or lease?
Yeah, but like that old one that we got right now, that definitely needs to be replaced.
Right.
Because it's how old, you can't get the damn parts, and if it breaks down, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
You know, so,
and with
That one from the town,
yeah, but I'm just saying, rather than not do
sure.
anything to replace it, if push comes to shove, maybe that's the route to go. To me, yeah, I'd rather see we get it right now, but is it going to happen?
yeah,
Well, you know, in this situation, right on first look, I would be inclined to just buy one. Because when you lease something, everybody at every step has got to make some money. You know?
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did make a note, so I mean, we can look at all
Lease-
those
lease
options.
Yeah, what we were talking about
Lease
is
to
no
buy,
matter
lease
what
to
we were
buy.
to decide, it's the availability, because
That's true.
you're
yeah.
probably not gonna see a grader for a while unless somebody just happens to bail out on one.
So you said Mellon does that now?
Yeah,
And-
they used
and
to, I
we-
know they did it with both the grader and the loader, they used to do that.
We would be interested in a low hour machine either too, because, you know, it's not something that we just put tons of hours on. But it's something that we need to have for when the snow
Yeah.
comes in the winter.
Right.
You know, if you don't, we have two graders. One of them it's newer, but it's probably a 2005, 07, maybe,
I don't even think I thought it was
maybe
still.
2000, I don't
It
know,
was still in, both of them were 1990s.
maybe, but it's in decent shape yet. But when push comes to shove, you know, that's the only way to open roads or sometime and to get done what we need to be done in the winter time, so.
Yeah, if you,
That's the-
Matt, if you guys want to just get some information for yourselves and us,
Mhm.
you know, purchase versus lease, what's the difference, and then availability.
Yes,
Because it doesn't matter whether you lease or purchase, is there one out there, or
Yeah.
are we gonna wait till May
Sure.
of next year before you get one?
yeah, I mean, and that's fine, I mean, if we had, you know, I understand this is a 23 budget, if we would have one in 23 before winter, say October,
Right.
I'd be satisfied with that.
Mhm.
You know, we'll get through this winter with what we have, and by that, next year,
Mhm.
I would be happy with that. So,
Do you have a, do you go by both of them? Do you go by a John Deere bid and then a Cat bid, or?
we bid everything out,
Do you?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we send it out to them.
Yeah, is it, the biggest questions we'll have on the lease opportunity is, what's the price per year? And then at the end of the lease period, what's the buyout?
Yeah,
Because I'm almost sure it's gonna be the total.
Yeah,
We could spread the pain out.
yeah,
Yeah.
over 5 years and then.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
better
do it
off to
again.
buy it, really. But
Mhm.
If
I'm
you
just
can't-
saying, if they won't, if they are not going to allow you to keep it in the budget,
mhm.
you see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Would they swallow less?
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why I said, you know, we needed to get through all this. You guys, if you don't want to make any decisions today, that's fine. We can get more information for the July meeting and approve our budget then that we're gonna turn in. But yeah, we need the discussion, so.
Okay.
Any more on that, or we can move on to road and bridge?
Yeah.
So-
As long as we're on the greatest and before we put that, I kind of acknowledge your low hour lease grader.
Mhm.
Because like say for instance, they got some graders out there on a demo.
Yeah,
They have less than 500 hours, less than
Yep.
a couple hundred hours. And that's a significant savings
it
there.
is. I would be interested in something with under 1,000, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, because it's not something goes every day, and that's still a good machine. You know, if it's fairly new.
and it's still got the warranty.
Yeah,
and all that kind
Yep.
of stuff.
yeah, I would be very interested in looking for something like that. And hopefully we could knock that price down, you know, from 320 or 30 down to 250 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, most likely you're not gonna get something like that, because if they can't get a new one, then the least, the used ones go for more. You
That
know,
is a
because, you know, if they're not available,
Yeah,
True.
that's true. Okay. So road and bridge, we have 1,918,868. So that would be funded, that's the county E project, and then the other projects we are looking to do for next year. Couple pages back that has the highway improvement plan. Like this one. Just a couple pages further from the.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, So in 23, we're looking at County Highway C, doing some seal coat. The section that got paved after the 16 flood, it got paved in 17 from Golf Course to Minersville. I'd like to seal that to extend that pavement life out. I'm a firm believer in seal coats. I think they, it costs a lot of money to replace these. We need to start looking at ways to improve the lifespan of them so we can afford to keep them. Also County Highway E, we've talked about that a couple times. That's, the resurface project there, that's going to be paid for 80% of that will be paid out of BIL. The county has a 20% obligation on that one. Then county highway bridges, epoxy overlays. We have 13 county bridges. One of them's totally junk. It's going to be in the program here soon for replacement on GG. That's McCarthy Creek. And then another one down the Chippewa River on GG South. It's probably past doing any rehabilitation work. We'll just wait. It's probably got 10 years left in it yet, but it doesn't pay to put a lot of money into it. But some of these others, say Marengo River, Brunsweiler, Trout Brook, these bridges are nice bridges. The surface is starting to decay and pop out a little bit. This epoxy comes over and it puts a epoxy layer sealant, and then they put like a sand finish on top of it. It really helps seal them bridges up for many years. Them bridges, they're good bridges. They'll last.
Do they mill them down?
They do not. They use a shot blaster, a steel shot blaster, and clean that whole surface. Gets any loose particles, anything. They vacuum it up and then they put this sealer down on it.
So every 2 years, the bridges are inspected, right?
Yes.
Under the inspection report, when they do inspection, what they do is take a chain and they run the top of the bridges to see if there's any spalling or.
Yeah,
hollow parts.
D-lams underneath.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
These are good bridges yet. They don't have any of that really.
Mhm.
But this would just seal that surface so infiltration water and salt or whatever can't get in. Problem is it gets down through the concrete, gets onto the rebar starts to rust and it blows up and it blows that bridge apart.
Is that like a grout with some sand in it that they put on?
It's like a clear epoxy,
But then they got
a sand finish, yes.
for a wearing surface.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you see some around the state now. I think there was one up in Iron River on US 2. That one's done. I know I've noticed some down by Wassa area, different places. Some of the counties are, Russ County is doing quite a bit of them. Barron County. Emerald was actually really interested in Ashland County buying a setup and doing them ourselves and doing them for other counties or the state. But at that time, he couldn't get any buy-in from anybody else. They were like, "Yeah, we're not really interested in that." Well,
Too
then
new.
a year later, it just exploded, and it would have been a good investment, but it's kind of too late now. So,
How often do they do that to the bridges?
I don't know exactly if just one time would be enough. I mean, I suppose if that surface wore off from plowing after 10, 20 years. You could possibly do it again, but I don't know if you'd be able to remove that stuff to do it again.
Pretty hard to think.
Yeah. Yeah, epoxy it's pretty well stuck.
What, do they have a certain lifetime on a bridge? Do they figure X amount of years or? It just depends.
Just depends on
Traffic and.
traffic. The state bridges don't last as long as the county bridges because they use straight salt. We use salt sand on our bridges, so they last a lot longer. They don't have as much, decay on them.
And I was just gonna say, in Bellin, it's like eternity is a life.
Yeah.
That's a-
I mean, there's bridges I've seen from 1940 that you go underneath them, they look brand new yet. They're not wide enough and there's other problems, but the structure itself is like, wow, this thing is very nice.
We
So,
don't want to talk about what the old days, because I'll show you some roads that are still the old, not blacktop, coal mix. That look better than half the blacktop roads in the
Yeah.
state.
yeah,
I mean, those things are 60 years old and they look better. I'll give you a good example. You're talking about seal coating. I've noticed the top layer of pebbles coming out of the blacktop
mhm. Yep,
and
raveling, I think they call it.
yeah, and I wondered about that because how many winters do you go before you have to address that problem? Because every winter the salt or
Yeah.
anything else.
And actually, it's the sun as much as anything. It sucks
Okay.
the oil out of that pavement. You take states like Montana, they're really forward thinking. They pave and they seal coat it the same year. And that way it keeps that pavement, that oil surface from deteriorating
out.
and it makes the road last longer.
Okay. 'Cause
I would like to see everything seal coated within 5 years of new. It's probably a pipe dream. It's, you know,
Yeah.
we only have X amount of dollars, but that's ideally, that's what I would like to see, but it's and you can do seal coats. Again, you could do one at 5 years and another one at 10 years to help it, but
Okay. Good.
so that's our planning for 23. The budget asked for the 820,000 out of the debt levy, the same as we received in 22. And then we have the, just over $1 million of the BIL funds for County Highway E. So, and then a little bit would come out of the fund balance. If you look on the far column, it would go from 944 to 864. So there's some dollars coming out of that. And then if you go down the list, 24, I'm looking at GG from Quarry Road to Mineral Lake, possibly. That's all in application through BIL. I don't expect to get any more money for BIL for a few years, if ever. We received some out of the first round. A lot of counties didn't get it, and they've been making a lot of noise. So I think once we received one, we might be done. We'll keep trying. I'll keep putting the applications in, but and then in 24, I'm also still working with Wisconsin Emergency Management on a FEMA grant for County Highway H for that shoreline repair. That sounds pretty positive. It's in DC. It actually, they told me it was funded, and then they came back and said, well, maybe not. They're moving funds around, and it still looks good, but it's not 100%. And so I don't know where that's going to shake out. I put it in for 24. It may or may not happen. I have, I think, 2 months to get finish out that application process, and then I don't know when we'll find out for sure, but that's what we're working on. 25, I have F project in F right in Butternut. I have some more on GG. 2 projects on GG. I put in 25, right, basically from Mellon, or from 13 down to Quarry Road. And then I'm thinking possibly by 25, that could kick out to 26, that McCarthy Creek Bridge on GG. 26, more of GG. That now is, we do have funding. We have flat funding in 26 for that section from where we leave off this year. We're going to go, we're stopping a mile north of Spider Lake Road. So we'll be continuing from that point down to County Highway M. I believe we have $2.2 million in funding from the feds for that project. But they put that, I was hoping for sooner, but they put it to 26. So I also put some seal coating in there for GG, County N seal coating, and then M, a resurface project. 27, County Highway A to resurface, County Highway C, a section to resurface, And then County Highway E would be a Seal Cove, so. It's just kind of a 5-year plan out there. It's subject to change and it will change, I'll tell you that, but it's all, there's gonna be funding opportunities I don't know about yet. There's some funding opportunities I've applied for, we may or may not get. It's just, it's,
We're in here changing this thing about every other week.
No. What about Highway 169? Is there anything for,
that was in 25, if you remember from that earlier sheet we looked at through the
From
state.
Steve's.
That's a
oh, okay,
state
because I know the
project.
state said something about redoing 169. I can't remember what year.
Yeah, they have it scheduled for 25 right now.
Oh, okay.
So that all correlates back to that capital improvement plan we were looking at, the multiple years. 24, 25, 26, 27 under the road and bridge construction. So that's just the overview of what we're looking at, but for today, we're mainly concerned with 23. So yeah, that 1.98 for costs. That little over $1 million from federal funding, and then the 820 from the debt levy. Would take care of them projects for next year. Any other questions on the capital improvement projection sheet?
I guess from what I've seen here, it looks like you're prepared to forward it to the finance committee.
I'm close. The biggest thing that I left up in the air that I felt was in the air was the grader purchase, I mean, we're comfortable with where we're at. Besides that grader purchase, we would really like to see a grader here. But that's gonna be up to this committee first and then down to finance after that.
So you want to hold off until you
If
get more information.
That's up to you guys, if you want more information on the lease or not, and then if you want to wait until July 11th to vote on the final budget that we forward to them, or if you want to vote on it today, either with the grader or without the grader.
Dan, when does the finance committee meet again?
Finance meets, I believe it's July 28th.
June 28th, wasn't it?
Was it June 28th?
Oh, yeah, June 28th, yeah.
Are they gonna be talking about budgets at that time yet?
Just discussions.
Discussions.
So you could we could put this on finance and let them discuss whether they want to do a lease or debt
And
levy.
in the between time, we still could get an idea of lease, purchase, and then when we look at purchase new versus is there anything out there used?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's,
And we could tell
what's
finance.
available today is not going to be available
Correct.
come January 1,
Right.
I mean, who knows,
But
so.
you could just tell finance, we're looking for the 350,000 or whatever.
310.
310 is
Yeah.
what-
310,
Yeah.
but we're looking at options.
Mhm.
Let's see which way they want to go.
Yeah, I'm.
Sounds good to me.
And then by July 11th, we'll know.
We should
We'll
have-
have a better
Yeah.
idea.
I
Right.
mean, one thing we can feel out finance if they're comfortable with leaving the debt levy somewhat the same as it has been in the past, or are they wanting to cut it? I
Yeah.
mean, that's gonna be a decision they make and then the full county board makes.
Right.
I gave you my opinion on it and you guys have to move forward from there, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Do we want to make a motion to send this to finance?
Well, that's what I'm leading up to.
Right,
If he's ready with accepting this grader thing, let's get this to finance.
we could do
The
that.
sooner we get this to finance, then they can start pigeonholing these.
And if they do, we'll
Budgets.
have a meeting in early July, we can
Yeah.
address it.
We
Yeah.
can come back and, take their, they can make recommendations to it. I'd be more than happy to show up at finance. I'd have to look at my
Sure.
schedule that day, but I'd be more than happy. Amber and I can show up and we can
That's
tell them what we're thinking too. I mean,
I would make that motion.
Okay, so Marty's making a motion to forward our ideas on the budget to finance as presented.
And then are we talking like the full budget, like with the general levy and the
Yeah.
Yeah,
CIP, everything, how we
Full
presented
budget,
it?
right,
Okay.
I'll second my motion.
okay, so,
And then yeah, I would just like to, if say something that we're looking at options on the grader or something like that.
right,
Yeah. You know, just say that. We don't have to go ahead and explain it any
Right.
further.
right, because if they're there or Dan's there, he'll.
Well, it's a- well, I'm chairman of the committee, so
That's okay.
all right, we can do that.
Any other comments? So motion been made by Marty, seconded by Bill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Yeah, the sooner we get it there, the better.
Right,
Yeah, thank you.
They can discuss it.
I think they did a very good job writing everything up and
Yeah.
explaining everything, because otherwise you look at figures and you don't know
Yeah.
anything, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, what are you even talking about?
Our goal is to be as open and honest as we
Right.
can. and
Yeah, yeah, you did a good job with
Show,
that.
show
Yeah.
what we're thinking and why.
Yeah, I'm real
So-
happy with this report.
just, so July 11th was our tentative next meeting.
Yes,
Okay,
so that's, Dan asked for this to be
Right.
given by July 15th, so I'd like to approve it to this committee before that point.
July 11th,
Is that Monday, Tuesday?
Monday.
And just so everybody knows, I will not be at this meeting, next meeting.
Oh, we could talk about that then.
At the highway meeting,
He's on vacation.
Yeah, no, I'll be in Mexico July 11th, so.
all right.
Vacation.
Oh,
We
nice.
better check
Yeah.
that contract. I didn't. write-
You want us to, did I hear you say that you want us to meet in Mexico?
Yeah, sure, you guys are welcome to come down.
Great idea.
Well, I mean, you will be at finance and,
What
Yeah, I'll be there June 28th, yeah.
we're gonna be taking the recommendations from finance to put them into this budget that we bring back to highway, so
Okay, I
shouldn't be any
I just got a
surprises.
couple easy, quick questions. You and I talked about that paving little section sewer project in Butternut. You're
Yes,
gonna ask me about it.
yep, okay.
Do you have a sense of, I know you wanted to
Yeah.
take it down,
We're-
and somebody went down and actually put the gravel out, so. But I know they're gonna ask me about it, so a
Okay.
sense of when you're gonna do that?
I really haven't decided on a date yet. I mean, if,
Will it be
what are we
June,
at?
July?
I would
August?
say the end of the month into the first week of July.
Okay, because I know they're gonna
I'll
ask.
try to get them. Yeah, I'll talk to Bruce about getting that
I'll
scheduled.
put early July sometime.
Yeah.
maybe. Okay. The other thing is. There's two posts right by my house that used to hold bus signs.
What signs?
Bus?
Posts that used to hold a bus stop sign.
Okay.
Okay.
And of course, those kids have all moved.
Sure.
No rush. But at some point, can you put those 45-mile-an-hour speed limits on those two posts?
Yeah, we could.
Because it's 45.
Yeah,
And where I got a question was somebody said, hey, I got stopped, I got a warning.
Yep.
I said, well, it says 45, it's a ways away. But I said, if it doesn't change, it doesn't change, it's still 45. I know where they got stopped, right on Ryback's, Grandpa Ryback's Hill, I call it,
Okay.
but
Sure.
there's two posts there, maybe
Yeah.
they'll see it.
yeah, that's not a
The
problem. We should
four
have
wheelers
them.
there have been really good. I mean, but that, and then the only other thing is you earlier talked about South GG Bridge on South GG. Are you talking about the one way down on the county line?
Yeah,
That was the other question somebody asked me a long time ago. Does the county put up signs that say what river it is?
we haven't. No, I don't.
Okay, where did these signs come up that say like Bad River or?
State would supplies all the
On a
signs
state
for the state
highway.
highway.
Okay,
yes.
but on a county highway.
Yeah, we
The
have not.
county doesn't do it.
We have
okay.
not. I mean, that's,
Okay, so,
if you guys want to
the-
direct me to, we can
well, I
put it
just,
on the
somebody
agenda.
asked me about
for-
that one, and I said, I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, I think that's Chippewa River.
Yes,
But I said, I don't know who put signs up, I said,
yeah,
I know they're on the state highway.
yeah, that's
Okay.
the state. So,
If it's
I
done,
mean-
I wasn't sure if the feds did that or this
No.
county.
How many creeks and rivers are we talking about?
Well, that's what I wondered, but
we have
somebody said,
13 bridges.
Yeah,
But as far as rivers and creeks,
Yeah.
little creeks. and
Yeah, I
stuff,
mean, when there's
We
many
cannot put it up on
culverts.
creeks.
okay, but that, you don't have to, but
Yeah.
now I have an answer,
Yeah.
because he said, well, all these are done, and I said, yeah, you're right, and I said, I don't know why it's done.
So if you guys want signs on them, tell me to put it on an agenda item and you guys can vote on it. That's up to you.
Well, can we get some prices and stuff?
I think that'd be a good idea.
It
get-
would probably
It's not too
be,
expensive.
with installation costs, say $200 to $300 a sign. The sign is probably $50 a post and then the installation cost.
We can put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
We could,
It's up to
the
you.
question came from, I think I know where it started, somebody was looking for something, and they were told where it was,
Mhm.
and then they didn't know what that river was.
Sure.
It's a Chippewa there,
The
right? on the
Chippewa, and
south
then
end?
there's the
Okay,
torch and the moose. And the
that's
torch
where it
and the-
came from,
yeah.
and I said, well, I have no idea who puts the signs
Yeah.
up, but now I can
Yeah.
at least go back to them and say, hey, the county normally doesn't
Mhm.
sign it, these are signed by the state.
If we were to do it, I mean, I don't know what your thought is I would just put one post on one side with a double-sided sign
Right,
and.
yeah,
Yeah,
but we can
yeah.
talk about it, if it isn't worth it, or it is.
Yeah,
So is there any way that we can get cost reimbursed from somebody for this?
no,
If there's no state mandate or
no,
we're doing.
Yeah,
Sign your own, I
So we're
guess.
just gonna have to eat that.
yes.
that's why I say that we'd have to decide if it's worth it or not.
Yeah.
But when the question came up, I had no idea if anybody signed them.
Yeah,
I have another question as far as butternut. On County Truck F, they knocked the cheese factory down.
Just
And
the
there's-
power pole,
What?
the power pole by the cheese factory. Oh, no, the cheese factory.
The
Yeah.
cheese factory they
Yeah.
knocked down in Butternut, okay? And F comes and turns real like a hairpin corner. Is there any plan to widen that?
Well, that's not a county road. Cheese factory on Creamery?
But it was, no, that's on F yet, isn't it?
No,
Isn't that
F
F?
doesn't go, F goes to
F goes
town.
past the tracks and then, it's a.
So
you don't have to
that's a
turn-
town road there.
turn F.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
That's
that's a town-
Creamery Road.
It's
Yeah,
village.
I was
road
thinking
there.
that was F, but F's on the other side.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, F's on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I was thinking that
Yeah.
they were going to do something there because of
No,
that corner.
The plan there is to donate that land to the village for the fire hall.
Is that where they're gonna put the fire hall?
Well, we'll talk about that.
Oh, well, I was thinking that maybe somebody was going to purchase that so that they straighten that corner out
That
more,
would be nice.
instead of it coming.
Yeah, there's a power pole right there, but is there anything else?
So we have one agenda item last, is number 8.
Did we already discuss that?
No, that we need to discuss this one yet.
Okay.
What the?
We kind of talked about the 23 equipment purchases, but we did not talk about 22 yet.
Oh, this
Oh, we
year.
didn't?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yep. So I wanted to, give you guys an update where we're at on purchasing equipment, and Amber's gonna run and grab that. She did not add that to this package of. So we purchased. Or, we ordered a plow truck. Which that came in above budget, but, and we should be receiving that chassis any day. I mean, it's at the dealer, they're just doing their check over and it's gonna come to us and then it's gotta go to the bodybuilder. Also on our list was a 1-ton truck. So we had ordered back last November, after the budget got passed, we had ordered a F-350. About a month later, Ford canceled that order and said they're not building F-350s for the foreseeable future. So, which we looked at it, okay, we'll go without it. And actually that money basically rolled into the excess cost of the plow truck. We also had budgeted for a chipper. We have we have a possibility that we might get one, but then the price has been jacked up to who knows where. They won't even tell us for sure. We were thinking, around 100,000, and the last they said it might be 130, and we don't know for sure. So,
That it?
yeah. Yep.
I do wanna-
So I just wanted to update you. I don't know. We did buy the track skid steer. We budgeted 90, that came in at 72, that was actually lower, so that was good. So if we start at the top, we budgeted 240, it came in at 290. Then the next one was the sale, we sold 71, we had put in the budget 50, and we actually got 67 for it, so we did a little bit better there. The supervisor truck, we had estimated 25. We traded in a 4-year-old truck and we got a very good trade in. We only have to pay 13,000 to boot. We did purchase a concrete pumper. We had budgeted 20,000, that cost 15. We budgeted 70 for the chipper, but with some of the other savings, we thought we could go up to 100, but we really don't know if we can get that or not for that price. I think it's gonna be like 130. And if that's the case, we're thinking we're just gonna say cancel that to wait for the price to come down. I think prices are gonna stabilize and come back into real world at some point. It might take a little while. Purchase a jackhammer. So the 1 ton we did not get, the track skid steer we did not get, so.
The 1 ton, because another organization I work with was looking for one too, and they had the same response like from Ford.
Mhm.
So they went around to every dealer.
Yeah.
And found one on a lot,
Okay.
but that was the only way they could
Yeah,
get it.
yep. You know, we just thought with some of the other overages, and some are over, some are under. So right now where we stand is we estimated 445 for equipment. We're actual at 432, but that does not, that 102 for the chipper that's not a real number right at this point.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I don't know what's gonna happen. We were kind of, well, we can talk about the 23 equipment a little bit. You know, finance, we've talked about it here, and then it went to finance and they give us permission to order some equipment ahead of time for next year's budget. So we tried. We put for truck quotes out. We did get 2 responses back, one from Nush Truck for a Mack and one from Mid States for an International. The other truck dealers declined to give a quote. They said that their 23 allocations and pricing are not available yet and won't be until September. You know, historically, we've been purchasing Western Stars. If possible, we'd like to stay with it just because we know them, we have the parts and the know-how to fix them, whatever. It's not set in stone, but so at this point, I would like to hold off yet on a truck until September and re-quote it out to see when we can get a price from them. It just, and then these guys, they give a price, but they can't guarantee it. I don't think there would be surcharges on top of there, so.
It doesn't sound like the market's very competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our recommendation is to hold off on this till probably September, when we can revisit it again, and we'll get prices at that time and come back to the committee.
The 22 equipment budget, was all that approved then?
Yes.
Even the jackhammer or no?
That one was not on the equipment budget. That's just out of it's under 5,000, so we can purchase that.
Okay.
Out of
Yeah, I think you're right on that chipper though. I mean, if they're gonna double the price,
Yeah,
then it's kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe bite the bullet on that one.
yeah.
How big is that chipper chip? How
I
big a-
think 18 or 20 inch.
Well, that big, eh?
Yeah. See, we have an old chipper that, well, we've been working on it a lot lately. We had to put a clutch in it and different stuff. It's not built heavy enough for what we're using it for on GG. You know, we're basically logging the sides and chipping it all.
Yeah.
It takes a beating, so we would like to replace that chipper.
Maybe that would be a leasing opportunity.
We have in the past, but this year we couldn't get them.
Nobody's got
There's
them,
No, none available.
I see in Bayfield County, I see on Highway 2, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, they were burning stuff. Is that,
Sawyer County.
Yeah,
did
they
the
were
same
burning.
thing.
yeah, they were burning. Does Ashland County do any of that?
We don't. you know, that's just not very efficient. They pile all that up by hand.
Yeah.
Well, I just, you know, I see what they were doing and
When
I'm
you
saying,
burn it, then you have to keep rolling
Yeah.
it back in.
better
But
keep
Sawyer-
smoking.
Yeah, Sawyer did that too on 77,
Yep.
and it's a mess.
I don't know if the story is true, but you have to keep, like you say, keep putting it together. I had a dozer, be pushing it together, so he got up on the pile and ran out of gas.
Oh,
So,
no.
so we have that cutter head for our excavator. We cut them. So there's no handwork, nobody's out in the deep snow with a chainsaw. We set them up on the road, the skid steer grabs it, runs it through the chipper and it's gone. It's
But you're
very
doing
nice
that from now
process.
on,
That's what we
Chipping?
like to do, yeah.
because I don't care for that stuff where you just knock it down, leave it lay.
Along the state highways, we still do that because they
Yeah.
don't want to pay for the chipping.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's where people see it the most.
Yeah, that's
So
what
they won't pay for chipping?
they don't like to know.
Yeah, it costs too much for us to chip it.
It's, I like it, you know, then the chips are there, they kind of inhibit the growth for a while.
Yeah,
somewhat.
it looks a lot better too. It's more friendly to the,
Yeah, you know what I noticed now, on some places where they log, they've taken the bigger stuff and pushed it tight against the property line or back.
Yep.
Compared to just leaving it scattered all over. You know, if you
Yeah.
scatter it, if it's scattered all over, you got to run over it again, it's just
Yeah.
a mole, right?
Yeah, yep.
yeah, I seen that too.
Yeah, is
That
it,
looks pretty decent.
yeah, that's better, but do we have such a project that we need to, if we need something to do, if we could take that and push that back?
I mean, we have been working on it some on the state. We've been more focusing on brushing the stuff we have cut back, just so it doesn't get out to a point that it's too big again.
Yeah.
But we would like to work, you know, basically from 77 down to Butternut at some point. I mean, that's. And that all goes off of the state, how much we spend on winter and summer, and we get into the fall and we reevaluate our budget with them and they say, hey, either, yeah, you can go do some work or no, you can't. It
But that
depends
looks
on
so much
where we're at.
better, I think, as far as pushing it back to the
Yeah.
tree line.
Yeah.
Well, we discussed this here, I think, a meeting or so ago, that the state offers a no fee permit
Mhm.
for people to go and cut firewood or
Right.
cut that stuff off and take it. So, you know, do you have those permits? or-
We do.
Well,
Yep, they can get a copy here, a paper copy, they can get it online, but we
So
do.
then they send it into the state and they
Yes.
just kind of rubber stamp it, okay.
Pretty
here's your
much, yeah.
permit,
And it's
Yep.
free?
Yeah, it's free. Yep.
So, okay.
So the state owns the right of ways, so it's,
Yeah.
you know, people always want to argue you're on my property, it's not their property, it belongs to the
What
DOT.
about the US Highway 2? Is that the same thing?
I believe so, but we pretty much have that cut to right away, and we keep
I
it
see it.
brushed every 2
I
years,
was
so.
to Dana the other day and I see they've got some trees that they dropped,
Oh, yeah, along the edge.
you
there,
know, and
yeah.
there's some people cutting them up,
Yeah,
you know, you see that?
Mhm.
yeah,
So-
yeah, I mean.
So July 11th, next meeting,
Mhm.
that stuff's all key to go to finance.
Yep.
And then,
Do we have to okay this too then or no?
There's really nothing to do with this. I just
Okay.
wanted it for your information
Okay.
of where we're at. I don't. There was a thought here, if we could find a loader, you know, a low or lease loader and use some of that chipper money to purchase it this year and then take it off of next year, but
Like switch out the chipper
yeah,
and the
put the
loader.
switch chipper to
Oh.
next year and the loader to this year, but so far we haven't found one. We did get a price from Airing. After our trade-in, it's 136,000, but then it would need a little bit of, it's got the wrong controls, it's got multiple levers and we have joysticks on ours, so we'd have to have it changed out, so it'd be a few thousand more, but. So I mean, that's a possibility. We have asked John Deere for that also. They haven't got back to us yet. So it might be something we come back and say, hey, you know, we have this. Well, left in our budget, we have about 124. You know, can we use that this year for a different piece of equipment, you know, like a loader? So that's all I have on that, I guess. That was just
Okay.
for,
otherwise,
To adjourn.
Well, how about, can I like to bring something up.
Oh, sure.
What about the blight, you know, like, there's like 3 places from Ashland to Mellon on Highway 13? Is there any, how do you do that? Do you contact the state for that, or what do you do?
If it's on the right of way, if you're referencing the one down here, a lot of it is on the right of way. The state's been looking the other way,
Okay,
but they can force him to
like,
either remove
like
it.
Minersville, that one there before you get to,
Oh, that's got
You know,
worse.
That's worse.
If it's on the right of way, which I don't know if they are,
They aren't.
they're probably
They aren't?
off the right
I
of way,
don't,
so
I
that would
don't think
be,
they are.
that would have to be addressed through zoning.
oh, okay.
It's pretty narrow right away up to that.
Yeah,
Is it?
I was
Okay.
thinking about the Phillips. Yeah, his place down there, the right of way is almost to his house. I mean, it's. the
Oh,
power
okay,
line is
yeah,
the right
so
of way.
that's a bad one too, yeah.
Yeah,
But then I was, yeah, and then, which other one? Well, the one that's just a little ways out of Ashland. Where they built that, I think the school built that house and they never did use it, and then they got a bunch of junk in there now. That has to be on the right of way, don't it?
it's possible. The right of ways vary. I mean, a lot of it's 100 feet each way off a center, but then some of them older places, they jump into 50 feet, you know?
Yeah,
It's, you'd have to.
you know what
look
I'm
at
talking about, you got the
case by
house there and the
case.
tanks and all, you got junk all over too. That's been there forever too.
That must be Hagstrom's maybe.
Oh, the old, Fort Ray Forsberg's place up there.
I think so, where he built that house. I think the school built the house for a project.
Built the house and never used it.
No, and they got
Yeah.
filled all full of junk. And
They're,
then,
they're.
Hagstrom,
yeah,
Is
that
there,
place.
is there a difference between having an easement versus the state owning it? Does the state own it all now, or?
The state, as far as I know, owns their right of ways.
I know, but before they used to get easements,
Mhm.
but now if the
They-
state buys anything now, they buy it.
They will still get some construction easements for long culverts or like that. But, you know, then our plans still show the original right of way with, you know, say it's 100 feet off the center line is the right of way. It might show an extra 40 feet for a construction easement, but the right of way is the 100-foot mark. So,
Okay.
I have a lot of junk too, but I'm not all that proud of it.
Yeah.
You're further back though. You're
Well, I mean,
further back.
yeah.
Okay, so there was a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Marty seconds it. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, that's good.